Yeah,
Santos,
no,
are you
definitely
there?
fireworks.
Santos. Where's he gone?
Yeah, I'm here. I was in the background there attending to something I had to attend to. I couldn't get to talk, but I've been here all along, haven't missed a beat.
Just to let you know that this is Matthew, who you were very interested in the other day that you heard speak.
Yes, yes, yes. I realise. Yeah. Hi, Matthew.
Yeah, Santos, hi, how you doing, man? Nice to actually hear you in person, kinda, voice.
Yeah, nice. Very
Yeah,
well. Very
I
good.
think Jay's got a problem with his internet, by the way. Problems with their internets. It's really weird.
I just upgraded mine. Mine went from 60 to 100 bandwidth, so it should be better.
Yeah, some people have learned some really interesting stuff. Ballet is really connected to everything, so that Jay sounded like Santos, but in the ballet area. Look what Santos has been saying,
Yeah, ballet and opera.
and then Flat Fred. Look at his stuff on trees. He was explaining before you came on that they really want the ivy to grow everywhere. It does things to the tree, stops the right vibration. It's just growing everywhere, and they don't care.
What is it, the
Isn't that?
ivy?
Yeah. And also, it's thriving because of the chemicals in the air.
Hmm.
You know, like the better the air, the less the ivy would thrive. And of course, it's thriving, isn't it, everywhere? So basically, our air is probably not that clean. What did you say, Flat Fred?
My
Yeah,
question
it's
is,
just detrimental.
he says it lives on nitrogen, but we have like 78% nitrogen in our air every day, all the time. I would think that you know, cars put out more carbon monoxide than they do nitrogen. So
Well,
wouldn't
it's
it thrive on carbon monoxide?
Yeah, it don't affect carbon monoxide. Don't affect ivy, mate. Really, if you look at it, if you look at it in the bigger picture, it's resistant. It's resistant to so many things, and it's not just that. In a bigger picture, as it affects the balance of nature, and it affects the
No, I
biodiversity of everything,
totally
and
agree with that. But you threw the
yeah.
car
And
bit
I've
in,
got a question for you.
and that's why I was wondering about the car bit. But go on with the
Thing
question.
is, yeah, well, thing is, the cars have been busy since the 70s, and I think, well, before that, but obviously, everybody's driving. You know, streets are full. Well, you know, petrol stations have never been busier. But so obviously, our air is contaminated. It doesn't affect ivy. It affects trees. It affects trees, obviously. It doesn't affect ivy. Ivy's really, really, really tough.
Does ivy grow better
I've
in
seen
moonlight?
it grows. It grows constantly, all
I
the
was just
time.
wondering if it
It
grew better
gets,
in moonlight, like it absorbed the negative
yeah.
energy of the moon.
Well, it flowers twice a year. It flowers twice a year. So you've got,
Ivy's a parasite, is it not?
yeah, it is. It's been known. It's an invasive species. It's been banned in a lot of countries, but it's too
Okay.
late. It's everywhere. It's been banned in New Zealand. It's been banned in Argentina. So yeah, there's a couple of countries where it's been banned, but it's everywhere,
well,
and there's
there's
that many.
if you go to a florist here in Germany and you want to pick a nice basket with plants in them and narcissus and everything, often they also put ivy in there as decoration. And a lot of people throw that away. It goes on the landfill, but it grows even on the landfills.
Yeah. You can't just chop it down. It needs burning. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the only way that you'll get rid of it. And when you pull it down, you can't just pull it down. And the thing is, I've been to my local woods, and I've pulled it off, and I've seen symbolism in my woods from 40 years ago. You know, when people was doing it before. So obviously, uh, it's not just a concern of now. It's been here before. So it's just you know,
Matthew, you need to
It's
mute yourself. I think. Well, you're not. That's it. Cool. Just while you're not talking, carry on, Flatfred.
Say it's just. I think it's just detrimental in every way, because the more it climbs, the more it climbs towards the crown of the tree, and once it affects the crown of the tree, then it affects photosynthesis, and then the crown of the tree becomes heavy, and that. If you look in your local woods, you'll see the trees falling down and this, that,
Do
and
you
the
think it was the ivy that killed the trees? The
Oh,
ancient trees?
they can easily kill trees.
Yeah, but it can. But I think I don't. I think maybe electrical arcs, like artists has said. I think maybe some of these big trees was struck by electrical arcs, because some of the way that they've come down and some of the sizes of these trees. I mean, I go into. I mean, I go into sort of physical evidence as well, sort of thing. I mean, I look at this. I mean, if you look at gold mining, what does it entail? You either do you do it in electrolysis, or do you do it in acids, or do you do it?
They usually use acids.
Yeah. Well, this is a question I've got for you, Angel. I'm glad you're on, mate. I love your work. These pyramids and these structures, they're made out of stone, are they not?
Primarily.
Yeah. Well, this stone is a certain type of stone that obviously conducts, obviously, and the vibration. The vibration.
In some areas, it's conductive stone. In other areas, it's inert stone,
Yeah.
limestone, and/or sandstone. Which,
Yeah.
The one up the road from me is chalk.
Yeah.
right, correct.
Well, these
It's how they're able to channel the energy. They guide it that way.
Yeah.
Right.
These structures was built on purpose for a specific reason, and
I agree.
I tapped in on that.
Yeah.
Were you here for that?
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen a lot of our Angel's work, and it's great. I love the way that he wants to build one, because fascinating stuff. I know we was going around the lines of alchemy and producing gold. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't think we need to, because I think there's that much on the plane we live in. Yeah. Anyway, that we would never need to. I think when they go gold mining now, they channel straight into main veins, and these veins are quartz veins. And along these quartz veins, it's surrounded by rock, but it's not rock, because everything was organic at one time. Whatever it is, it was organic at one time. We could go back wherever, but it was all organic.
Yeah, a lot of the time near those gold mine areas, you have the gemstone lapis found, that bright blue stone. It is in variations from almost white with a little blue in it, very light blue to very dark blue, and it's called lapis, and it's also found near all the gold mine locations. So most of the time if you find gold, there's also lots of chunks of lapis surrounding it.
Yeah, gems, precious gems, all sorts. But the thing is, I think with varying degrees of amounts, placer deposits are the main way that gold is found now, through placer deposits. I've done some research. About 70% of gold is found through placer deposits. Now I thought, what is a placer deposit? What is a placer deposit, and how does what does a placer deposit do? A placer deposit comes down an old riverway or old stream, and it gets carried, and eventually it'll settle, or it won't settle. It carried away again and settle somewhere else. What is this placer deposit? Well, these placer deposits are all organic materials. There's no. I mean, we look at beaches, we look at sand. I mean, I go to my local woods. You're not allowed to take a metal detector, because there's things down there you're not allowed to find. I wouldn't want to take one anyway, but like just as a sort of a hidden thing, gold is everywhere. It's everywhere. It's I don't know if they're saying the streets are paved with gold.
They've got this new toy
Yeah.
that's out that you can connect to an iPhone. That's not very big. That's designed. It does sonar through the wall with the using the technology that they use for how we would bounce the sound into the ground to like look for certain metals. You know, I've discussed that in the past, how we do the ground penetrating radar stuff. But they have that for the walls. You could use that and just walk around with your phone at like ankle level. You know, and do the same thing. If somebody comes up, so you're not, you know, you don't have it on a, or use a one of those vanity things for your phone. You know, what do you call it?
Selfie stick.
That's the word I was looking for. And just point it the other way.
Oh yeah.
But that's amazing.
Hey,
That's a good idea, Angel. Actually, yeah.
I wanted to touch on the vines that you guys were talking about earlier, that they were taking over and growing rapidly.
Mhm.
Yeah, in South Carolina, there's a thing called kudzu, which is a vine, and it is destroying their forest area. It is taking out like city by city.
I'm wondering if
Yeah, I
they
think
can
it's
look in that area and see if there's a concentrated ley line somewhere within that area, because I have a theory that the seed basically helps create a point of concentration for energy. And where energy leaves the earth, it's concentrated through that seed. And basically, the matter that we see is pretty much exactly what it looks like where in that area where the energy was going to leave, that's what it would look like. Kind of like electricity, or like our nervous system, like a tree. You know, it comes straight up. It's got its column. It's a column of inertia where all the energy is collected, and where the energy bleeds out, you've got the branches, and you've got all the leaves and everything, and all the matter that comes out of that. So I think if this place where the vines are going crazy and whatnot, if it's upon a ley line somewhere and that ley line is being excited somehow, or if there's some kind of energy flux in that area, it could explain why they're growing so rapidly. And if they're growing in a specific direction, if people can see that, if there's a majority of it's growing in a certain direction, maybe that's the flow of energy and they should look into that. That's just my theory anyways.
Yeah, great theory. You know,
Yeah,
what I was thinking about, maybe, you don't know that cartoon from the 80s. There was also a cartoon in the 80s called Jace and the Wheeled Warriors. Maybe it's not a very popular cartoon from back in the 80s. And basically, Jace and the Wheeled Warriors, the father of Jace, made a plant that was also a vine. And that plant became evil and took over the earth. And then it took over everything else. It was also took over the sun, the moon, other planets. That was in that cartoon. And it was very interesting. It made me think of that cartoon back of Jason. Maybe you can look it up sometime. Jace in the Wild Wars is not a very good cartoon. It was 80 years, so... But it was interesting that there was actually a plant life that and biologists want to enhance that plant life, and it became corrupt and took over the whole world. So that's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Me, Seymour.
I haven't heard of that.
Feed me now. Yeah, I agree with Matt. Matthew, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. I've just been it's part of my entire scientific study as far as energy flow, magnetism, points of inertia, and equilibrium go. It follows the flow of energy.
I think, but with these ley lines, we would say that the majority of these ley lines would be underground.
Yeah, I believe the ley lines are due to mineral veins within the earth, mineral veins that have electroconductive properties that store the energy that's carried in from stars on the Birkeland currents.
I agree. The same. Mineral deposits, minerals like gold, dielectric material, silver, crystals, traveling along power circuit, traveling along those minerals. Ley lines, yeah, ley lines. I think maybe a lot of trees are connected to the ley lines, some shape or form, depending on the age of the tree. As trees connect themselves, even saplings connect themselves to the mothers. Well, yeah, there's a connection there, definitely.
Yeah, sorry for being so late, you guys. I was on the phone to somebody else trying to talk about uh, this whole, you know, religious philosophy bit into my whole grand theory scheme. So I'm curious. I'm curious. What do you guys think about all that? I mean, does it make sense that you know, since every single religion and everything out there has they're focused around something specific. You know, one religion works on humming, while another one works on, you know, yoga type martial arts for energy flow, and another one, you know, tried to work on technology, and another one did this and that. You could see it in their writings and in their art and everything. Is it possible that this theory resonates as far as, you know, the Tower of Babel, the original sciences needing to be separated so the creation of God couldn't be duplicated?
I think some of the older stuff is set up, as he was saying with the ballet earlier, and some of the other religions, and as I was saying with the whole Roman gods and stuff, is to implant things about the zodiac sign in your mind so you can relate to it and remember it and call upon it later. Like if in my country, if each one of the 10 commandments had, not 10 commandments, Bill of Rights, well, either way, the 10 commandments, if the 10 commandments each had a story behind them instead of just a sentence, it would be easier to remember. If you think, oh, the third Bill of Rights is the armies will not take residence in my house. You think you don't want a third party involved. Hey, get out of here. This is a A and B conversation. See your way out. But if each one had a story behind it, it's easy to remember which one, and then you can't forget them. Like the ballet positions. If you remember each one of the ballet positions, each one relates to a zodiac sign. So you can't forget the zodiac sign if you know the ballet positions. It's helping to implant what was our true calendar up until we allowed our government to dictate. Actually, I think it goes back to the Roman Catholic Church, or before that was actually the Caesarean calendar, which again was Roman, that decided to dictate what we were told was the calendar, and to get us off of reading the zodiacs and knowing history that way and being able to calculate time. And I think part of that is so they could steal years away, because it only takes a generation or two, actually they say 3, to lose things. And I could tell you an example of that, but I see you want to say something, so I'll let you go ahead and speak.
Yeah, sorry, you got my mind blowing right now because you said something about the zodiacs, and I'm thinking, since there was the 12 apostles, and I'm trying to link that with the 12 possible creative sciences, and I believe that the pyramids were built underneath specific star constellations like the zodiacs. And if Orion represented the electromagnetism and the Egyptian pyramids were there and they had that theology, then I wonder if each of the zodiac signs and constellations over the flat plane of Earth, if you're able to locate each of the pyramids that were assigned to that zodiac and see if those pyramids and that civilization in that area held the key to that particular science.
Right. That, and also I'd like to know, if you follow it in your research, if you can find that each one of the apostles relate to one of those zodiac signs. Like, I know one of them had a sword, There was mention of that, and et cetera, et cetera. And if so,
I believe all 12 do. I've seen that before. I just don't know it myself. So I'm going to look into that again.
because again, that could be a way to hide certain things. So with the Roman Catholics or the Romans, you want to go back further, wanting to mask over other religions, if they created the 12 apostles to mask over the zodiac signs to have their own gods / apostles, because I can really get into how Jesus, and again, I'll probably ruffle feathers, was a creation of the Roman Catholics to create a straw man person to, to have their whole following worshiping the created Christ as opposed to the creator God. But that's a whole nother rabbit trail.
Yeah, that's something I actually touched on today pretty good too, as far as that. I believe like everybody talks about the Trinity so much, right? They always have the three. But something I noticed was they leave out the word. They always leave out the word. And in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God and was God, right? So basically there's Father, Son, Spirit, and Word. That's four, not three. And then everybody goes, oh, well, Jesus is the Word. Well, yeah, but you also say Jesus is God and Jesus is the Spirit too. So why are you trying to separate the fact that Jesus and the Word isn't part of the Trinity deal? It's got to be four, not three. But then I was thinking, I'm like, maybe it is still the Trinity, because the Father is primordial. He is the source. He is eternal, never has a beginning, never has an end. Whereas Jesus says, I am the beginning and the end. So my theory is that out of the primordial Father, the source, came the creator Jesus, which was the body of the source, and then the mind of the source was the Word, which was the power, and the soul of the source, which was the Spirit of God. So that's why Jesus says, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. If you know me, you know the Father, because he's the body of the Father, which allows the Father to walk around and be and do. And then he has the mind of the Father, which is the Father's power, his intelligence. And then he has the soul of the Father.
Right.
Trinity. It's all the Father makes it one, but the Trinity comes in with the Word and the soul. Yeah.
Right. I think you're kind of reading in and embellishing a little, because both Christ, Moses, and even God themselves say, I am one, have no other before me, blah, blah, blah. And even Christ says, don't follow me, follow my Father. Because even Christ knew he was fallible. He was human.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Christ as the straw man, that means that we are celebrating, ignoring, the man behind the curtain, who's the creator of all of this, and focusing on Christ, kind of la 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 to the creator. And this allows them to create and mold Christ to whatever they want him to be, because you're following the Christ figure and not the creator. You're ignoring everything else, which is the whole chi, which is the whole sermonic or semantic or semantics, and the whole study of everything, all of it together, all the sciences. You're not looking at the creator and everything that he has done. You're focusing on just the created and following the created one. And this allows them to direct your mind thought, because they direct who you're following. And this is part of the whole thing I have with religion. That, and in the Bible, you were talking about, was it you or somebody else was talking about how they changed certain words? Oh, you, when you were looking at the translation, they changed certain words, because if you use certain words, by playing with certain words and changing certain words, I can direct your whole thought pattern. I could cite examples, I'm not going to bother, about things, how I could tell you a story about a crime scene, and I will use certain words, and at the end I'll ask you a question and you'll answer it, and I will say, but I never mentioned that. I just, because of how I said it and how I worded it, I made you come to that conclusion. And it is word game, and it's using your normalcy bias as to, you assumed that, and I say, well, what if this was the truth? Oh, well, that could have been. Right, because your normalcy bias is to assume, oh, the black guy in the room did it. Sorry about that, but that's just normalcy bias. if
I agree 100% with literally like everything that you're saying. I mean, you've got the source that says he's eternal. Then you've got Jesus, who says he has a beginning and end. You know what I mean? And then you've got Jesus, who constantly prays to the Father. He never says pray to me. He never says pray to me. He never says bow to me. He says pray to the Father. He even does it himself. There's so many examples upon examples of how this pretty much solidifies the fact that Jesus and the Father are separate, you know, but I believe that Jesus is there and he exists because he's like either an extension or manifestation of the source.
That goes to your belief, and you're allowed to believe that, and that's where I don't want to ruffle feathers. But just even he himself says, "Go with the Creator," and I believe the Roman Catholic Church hijacked the whole Christ figure, as the one for you to follow, because they can mold him however you want. They can make up stories about him and have you focus on his life and ignore the rest of the big picture, because they want to keep your focus. That is part of it. And in the Bible, they change words, even the Roman Catholics, and even now they're dumbing it down even further, so that they keep you in the mindset by taking words out. You know, one thing that they did is they took out the Z's and the thous and the those, because it was confusing to people. Because like in Spanish languages and stuff, they have a vosotros form, which is the we form, which is a group, as opposed to the we, which is a smaller group. Like it's the majority group as opposed to the we, our individual group type thing. And by doing that, they separate. They're able to mold your opinion of what the Bible says by changing the words and dumbing it down and continually translating certain things. Just like now we're taking, what was it, the Lord's Prayer? They just changed that. Like, what was it, last month or something like that? They, Our Father, full of, blah, blah, blah. I don't know it very well, but I know they changed the end of it so that it's more politically correct. They took out some something in it. They worded it so it's nicer. Oh, I forget what it was, but either way, I'm showing you they're changing it. And with ballet, which goes back to it, when you do one position, you have to be in another position to go into the other, because it all has to flow, harmonics. There has to be rhythm and pattern to it. You can't, it's not like a computer game where you can go from here and then glitch, you're there, like the NASA shots. I'm combing my hair, my arm's down here, flash. But anyway, with the whole Bible, originally as it was written to flow. It was chanted. The Hebrew language is chanted. And you can't go with your voice from here to there, and things had to follow a pattern. By us translating it into other languages, we lose that pattern, and hence that gives us the ability to change words, and we're not paying attention to the original pattern. Therefore, since the original pattern, the original checks and balances to make sure things went into rhyme is being removed, we can change words and people will never know it. Like 3 decades from now, no one will know we changed the Lord's Prayer because we did it before the kids were born. Now some people on our own conference here, I believe, were not alive before the trade centers fell. So the whole world is, there are boogeymen that blew up 2 buildings in New York, and the 3rd building no one knows about because that's the way they want to keep it.
Wasn't there actually like more than 3 buildings? There was like 5, including the CIA building. There was a CIA building fell too.
Yeah, but
all 7 buildings. World Trade Center had 7 buildings. All of them were destroyed that day.
This is
7.
true, but only 3 of them went from ground to ground. Went from standing to ground. The other ones had parts of it blown in, and other things that were not just fires, but 3 of them, and building 7 is the huge white elephant floating in the room, but it went from standing to not standing in one nice little pattern there. And
not to get distracted from what you were saying before, were you trying to say that the Old Testament was implanted in order to create the straw man of Jesus? Just out of curiosity?
No, I don't think the Old Testament is implanted at all. I think the Old Testament has been reworded, but I believe the New Testament is implanted, and things like
that's what I meant. Sorry, the New Testament, not the Old. The New Testament was implanted in order to create the straw man of Jesus.
Yes, and the things like the Book of Enoch and a couple of other books that are referred to both in the Old and the New Testament were taken out because they alluded to things that didn't fit the story and confused people because they wanted to get your focus.
Can you all hear me?
That's pretty hardcore. I'm going to look into that. Yeah, we hear you. I'm going to look into that a little bit more.
Cool.
We can hear you. Matt,
Oh yeah, go
Matthew,
ahead, go ahead.
Matthew, oh, very quickly, and then you go, Jay, just a second. But Matthew, there are so many people, including Santos, that Jesus is the sun in the sky.
Well, that
Well,
There
that's
are
what
many
I'm saying is all of these figures, I believe, to an extent, are actual just like anagrams or, analogies for sciences. This person represented this science. Like they say, in the beginning was the light, right? Well, I believe that Jesus represents the light because everything was not created without the light or through the light. Because through the light and through light, sound, and matter, everything was created, period. And without the light, it's just not happening. Nothing was able to be created without the light. So in the beginning, God created the light, saw the light was good, and boom, all of a sudden, boom. Jesus says, I am the light. I am the beginning. I am that. Well, in the beginning, the light was created, right? And that was the first creation. He said, yeah, he created the heavens and the earth, but before, the heavens and the earth were created, he created the light, right? And then everything else. So I think that they were honest anagrams for actual sciences. If Egypt, electromagnetism, Hindu, sound, us, Christian, light.
and I also believe that the Bible teaches morality. It also, in its stories, teaches things that up until this current century we didn't know, like bacteria and stuff like that. The way they washed their hands in running water, not still water where the bacteria would grow. I mean,
It's a great way to distract, like you were saying before. Use these great morals and these great life lessons to distract from the science hidden inside of these meanings, these spiritual sayings and whatnot.
Right. They're teaching you by example, not by the reason why.
Yeah, hiding the truth behind a veil of, it's not bad stuff because yeah, you can use all the stories and all the lessons from the Bible to have good life lessons and lead a good life, but they hide the truths within these things because you never look there. You're like, all you think of it as a spiritual lesson and as a life guide. You would never think to look there for the sciences of actual creation, meaning actual science, not stuff like the answers blowing in the wind, my friend. Stuff like, God separated the waters and created the heavens, which were the firmament, which means when you separate water with electrolysis, you create oxygen and hydrogen. And inside of the open firmament where the birds fly is is oxygen. On the outside, where it's supposedly a crystalline hard structure all around, that could be pressurized hydrogen that becomes metallic, that looks crystalline in structure. So when he says, God separated the waters from the waters and created the firmaments that he called heaven, now you think, okay, he sent a bolt of electricity into the water, created a bubble of hydrogen and oxygen. And then while he created within that bubble, it created a pressurizing the hydrogen, creating a shell that protected them and then continued along the ways as he's going. This is the science behind it. That's the stuff that I'm getting into.
Yeah.
Does that resonate with anybody?
I'm sorry?
I before we came on the hangout, you said that to me, and I was thinking, yeah, maybe that's why when you said like you said, Celtic people was this, Europeans was that for the sciences or whatever they were. What was Celtic? Not residence, vibration.
The flow. Motion and flow and force. Because if you look at all their Celtic knots and all their Celtic waves and their symbols, they all look like the motion of energy, how energy moves in a what is it called? A double helix vortice. So if it's double helix vortice, just like how it shows with knots, how they crisscross and move in like a twisting position and whatnot, that's why I believe that that's what they revolved around. And Christianity, light, and Asians, energy, et cetera, et cetera.
Maybe that's why the one down the road from me, the pyramid, has to be chalk.
Yeah, Muslims, I honestly have no clue. I've been thinking and thinking and thinking, and I think Muslims honestly are just that adversary, that false religion and I don't mean to upset anybody, but I mean, in the sense that, like, when they say, everybody else needs to die that don't believe us, and destroy everything else that doesn't believe us. And when you kill yourself or whatever, you die and get 72 virgin. That kind of stuff is just the adversary, is what I believe, And I can't pinpoint it to an actual science. So with that being said, I got nothing on that, even though it's like one of the number one world religions. I can't pinpoint it to anything scientific wise, even though it's like one of the first scientific communities ever to exist. I mean, Iraq, Babylon, hello. But that's where it was all scattered too. That's where all sciences and everything were scattered from that point. So maybe that's the desolate zone. I don't know.
Well, we certainly have been talking about quite a lot of stuff today. It makes you go,
Can I chime in on that? Can you guys? This is a bad connection, so I don't know if I'm coming in smoothly.
Go for it.
Okay, so Islam is not evil. In the Quran, 41:27, it mentions 7 green cows. They're talking about the same thing. And Santos is a master at this. So if he's around, he could give you way more examples to show you through numerology that Islam and Christianity are saying the same things about Taurus. Cows are the 7 ladies in the Pleiades. They are the 7 sisters. If you Google that, you will find the 7 sisters. We have a 7 pH balance chakra. So now the Hindu people, these 7 dwarves. So Islam is not evil. The individual who invented the instrument that measures the stars was Islamic. It's the sextant instrument. When you Google the sextant, an Arabic man actually invented this. And if he did not do this, we would not be able to understand astrology, which is what the Bible is, astrotheology. About the Trinity, you have many trinities. In Babylon, you have Semiramis as Venus, you have Nimrod as Saturn, and Tammuz as Mars, which is what Horus is also associated with, the red disk. If you Google Horus, you will see him with a red disk, where Mars means the red planet. You have Isis, Ra, and El in Israel. That's Egyptian people are now aligned with that. You have Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Adon and Isu in the Druid culture. We have a tricep, which is 3. So if you look at the numbers, my brother Matthew, it'll actually help you to see that Islam is not the problem here. The problem here is that people don't get into numerology to see that 7 is in the Bible, the Quran, it's in all the books. There are 12 apostles, there are 12 faces of the dodecahedron. If Jesus is the light, then tell me how Venus is the morning star. Okay, Lucifer is the morning star. It means the light bearer. And so then when you go and you Google Christianity, you see that Jesus associates himself with a morning star. He was born
if you
of
actually
that
look
woman,
into that,
of that goddess. And once
if you
again,
actually
the
look
elephant
into
in
that, the King
room
James
is the goddess
version,
has been pushed out.
the King
So
James
that man
version is
can
the
just sort of
only
just stand
one
in
that
place of,
actually says
once again, gods and goddesses.
he's the
See, that's the
morning
problem.
or the
Babylon was the
morning
problem.
star.
Babylon means the gate of
It's
the gods.
actually mentioned that
Baby
he's
means
the
gate.
son
Simple.
of the
That's the
morning,
gods. Well, where's
not the
Babylon? In
morning
the
star.
middle.
So if
Sorry.
he's the son of the morning and Jesus is the morning star, that's where it differentiates. I mean, the King James Bible is a Bible
Yes.
where
Star. I
it's
mean,
Satan's mentioned as something specifically where he's not mentioned as it anywhere else, like Lucifer. It doesn't say Lucifer anywhere else in any other Bible except for the King James Version Bible. It also doesn't say that he's the morning star except for in the King James Version Bible.
But Satan is an anagram for Saturn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know that. I've read into that too.
Satan is an anagram for Saturn. Okay, and Lucifer is the light bearer, morning star, morning. It's the same thing as Venus, man. He was born of a virgin. Virgo is virgin. The sextant constellation, which is sex, is there. So those things are all connected to astrology in the Bible. But once again, you must know the Quran verses, because the Quran and the Bible, once again, I'll say it again. Quran 12:46 mentions 7 green cows. Okay? Genesis 41:27 mentions 7 green cows. So how is Islam evil compared to Christianity
No,
when they have the same numbers?
I
You know what I'm
never
trying to
said
say? We have to
Islam is
get into
evil.
numerology, man.
I never
That will
said
help
Islam
you
is evil.
see
I
the
even
bigger
kind of
picture. And by the way, Horus was not just a pharaoh. I don't know. I mean, maybe you know that, but he was also okay. Sorry, I thought Islam or it was the bad.
No, I said Muslim, the Muslim, I don't know which part of it. I said the part of the Muslim culture and the Muslim belief system where they say that if you kill yourself for Allah, you get 72 versions. And if if every other belief system out there needs to die, I say that needs to end in the Muslim culture. As far as the Muslim scientific bit, I can't find anything at all. That's what I said. I never said that they were evil at all. I never said that. But I
It
also
just sounded like when you
realized,
mentioned Muslim. No, sorry, it is.
hold on real quick. I also realized in the Quran, it says
Thank you.
that Allah is the greatest deceiver. And then in the Bible, it says that Satan is the greatest deceiver. So I'm not saying they're evil. I'm just saying they do have their similarities. But the God of the
Okay.
Quran is the greatest deceiver, and then the evil of the Bible is the greatest deceiver. There's good similarities and there's
Okay.
bad similarities, you know. But not to base this off of
But do you?
religion. I'm trying to focus on the scientific connection, not the religious connection behind it all.
Oh no, I was trying to help you see the numbers though too, because the numbers are the science. That 7 that I mentioned that 7 is inside of your body. You have a 7 pH balance. Once again, physical science of religion. The body is the temple. Why is your brain called a temple? Temple. Latin for head is caput, hence the capital is your head, the skull. I said a skull where Christ was what? Crucified. So he went through what? Gethsemane, the olive garden. You have 2 olivary bodies in your brain. If you Google that, you have olivary bodies, literally. I find this interesting. This is science, man. It's physical. Once we get into the body, and before you join the chat room, I was talking about how talk about things in a very deep way, as opposed to like sort of the division of it all. I'm not saying that you're dividing it all up, but I'm just saying is it when you look at your body parts and then you're like, oh shit, from Santa Claustrum, it goes down. Bethlehem means house of bread. Your oils or your claustrum fluid in your brain is also a metaphor for breads. Santos, once again, a master of that information. That's science, man. Your body is the science. It's aligned with the stars. Hence, we have a head, 2 arms, and 2 legs. Allah has 5 syllables: arm, leg, arm, head. Thank God for Wu-Tang Clan. I heard that in a verse. I never got it. Something very simple. That this is all about hiding things. Like you said, they hide the science. It's in the words and also in your body. So that's, yeah, I just wanted you to know that I'm with you on science, man.
But it's actually interesting that you mentioned the martial arts, because I did about 5 years of judo training. And when you mentioned ballet, I also instantly thought about judo, and all those moves also have certain names. And basically what you do with judo is you protect yourself. So you use the energy of your opponent. You don't attack them, you use their energy actually to defend yourself. So I have to look into that further, because it just rang a bell with me. I thought, no, ballet. Yeah. Also, judo is also a very old art of moving and fighting and protecting yourself, basically. That's it.
That way they could teach their children self-defense and hide it in an art/religion.
Uh-huh.
Somebody comes at you, you take their momentum and you push it to the side. You take, kind of like they do in football. Only there you kind of take your momentum and smack them. But if they took their momentum and just used them to go down, but either way, it is, some of those arts are art skill, knowing the center of balance and gravity, and center of balance. And
let me chime in. And it says, our Father who... Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was
Yeah, I
done.
think that
Yeah, I was
Jason,
going to say it's our Father who art in heaven. People miss that art because you have Sarasvati in India. Art. Your heart has art. Earth has art in it. Goddesses are artists in heaven. Hence, we are the creation, the temples of this thing. You should research the Templar Knights even more. You have de Bouillon. De Bouillon, he was a French Jew who ruled Jerusalem. You have Judaism, Jupiter, Jehovah, the jovial one. The biggest planet or orb is Jupiter. Anyways, de Bouillon got his name from the bull, ballet, or bullet. Ballbill. They're all connected, man. They're all anagrams. Anna comes from Anael. Angel. Anael. That's the goddess. So it simplifies it when you get into etymology, the body, and then all these people that took these names and decided to name themselves. I think it's beautiful that judo relates to Judaism and to Jah. When you actually look up Jah in etymology, you find Jehovah and are aligned with the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right.
Jupiter. I mean, sorry,
Well,
just wanted to say that.
What I learned at judo was that you.
Go ahead, Karen. Did you want to say something? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
no, it's okay. You're on a little bit of a lagging, I think. So you're on your mobile. You've gone a few seconds behind us. Yeah. So you've stopped talking, but you're still talking on our hangout.
What I learned on judo is that, as far as I know, that ju means gentle and do means the way. So the way of gentleness. And defending yourself, of course, in a gentle way.
If I could say, I'm going to leave the chat because I think the phone, I've been doing it for 4.5 hours anyways, but I'm going to send love and Happy New Year's to all of you. But I want to leave with this. I want to say to all of you for this platform. Everything syncs up with the number 5, Esther or Easter or Eastern Star. And ballet simply honors the 5th position the most.
Well,
because when you look at the prima mobile,
the 5. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing that I chose the 5 for my logo. Maybe subconsciously already knew that it was a good number. Who knows?
Your bicep means 2, your tricep means 3. So once again, we add it together, and then that sort of simple, and then it invites everybody into the story of religion because it's a physical of the body. The symbol you have is perfect because that's fire. Well, fire also Krestos is oil. Pardon me. So when you're meditating in Hindu culture, if you Google the goddess in the middle wearing white and she's on fire, surrounded by men, you meditate for scrotum, the sperm, the seminal fluid, which is Krestos oil, talks about. You're bringing that oil to your brain and you're illuminating it with the tetrahedron. Hence, you have pyramids. Damn sure that we're all connected in building those. They're in Japan. We know this. They're in England, Ireland. So the Bible is telling us several things that relate to us and the stars. So I just wanted to put that in there before I cut this bad connection in too early.
That's okay. We don't mind. You can stay if you want to.
Oh, is the connection okay? Because I feel like it's bad.
We just have to remember that you're a couple of seconds behind us sometimes. I think you've caught up now.
Oh, okay, cool, great. Because I didn't want to disrupt the flow. So like with Matthew, even in his name, Matthew is Ma'at, Mattthew. That comes from Maat. She's Libra. She's the scale. She's the justice one. Balancing. In ballet, we have balance. I teach this shit all the time. So we're balancing our energy. So when the sun falls, point in Cancer in the summertime, as Santos says, right? boom, it hits all those females. You get Leo associated with a female, the Virgin, ruled by who? Venus, and who also exalts with Saturn, Set or Satan, or Shaitan in Hebrew. Pardon me, in Arabic, Shaitan, and it means the opposer, the one who's bad. Well, of course, because you have light and dark, and all the ancient ones saw darkness as bad because the sun is gone, and now all these animals and these things can come out that might harm you, and you can't see. You work a bit harder to survive, and then it's also a life lesson too. That energies, like we're living in the Illuminati, the illuminated ones, the light bearers. Lumen means light. That's all about Lucy. She's in the Bible, right? She's everywhere. She's in the Quran. What's this? What's the logo for the Islamic flag but a moon and a star? Venus makes a 5-pointed pentagram around the sun every 8 years. Every star on every flag is Venus, hence my thesis, Isis, antithesis, Isis. It's her. She's the serpent. Okay, yeah. So Hebrew, serpent in Hebrew. Nun is the 14th letter in the Semitic abjad. That's incredible. That will Jewish alphabet are together. 4 and 1 is 5. Pent, serpent. 5 again. Your positions of ballet. Hence that dodeca is her. Hence Einstein saying ether is bullshit. We can't have women. We must be the men who stand in place. Thomas Edison electricity, as opposed to your Tesla electric cars that Ford tried to have. Energy. We have solar plexuses. We're walking solar plants of light, Lucifer, blah, blah, blah. So it's really cool when you look at the words as opposed to sort of trying to decode all this stuff and comparing it. Like even for me, it's still way too complex, but it simplifies itself. Astrology a little more, and I encourage you, Matthew. You're there. I hear it. I hear it. I'm open to how you see things too. We're all synced, and we will sync, even if we don't agree. We'll sync, and it's beautiful. But yeah, numerology. Boom. The Turks converted to Judaism called themselves the Hyksos. Hence the Hyksos gives birth to Hebrew. Why does Hebrew relate to Hud, prophet? And we have Jews and Islamists beating the shit out of each other. And you can Google that and find prophet Hud relates to Hebrew. Wow. And then you have Semitic abjad. Wow. Alphabet. Their alphabet is synced. And I've done presentations in 1 minute. And if they would just watch, they meaning the people who are fighting and yelling and screaming and having this material God come out of the clouds. It's alchemy, man. Al is God. We're fusing God together with what? Our stars. So I open it up.
Did you know that the Hebrew alphabet is based off of the Star of David?
That would make sense because that Star of David is, of course, the 6 points, and whose number is 6? But Venus, once again, is 6.
Yeah.
She's 666 for ether.
If you look at the Star of David and the letters of the Hebrew, you'll find the letters of the Hebrew within the Star of David. Every single one of them. They took the Hebrew letters out of the Star of David, like the actual, pattern of them.
Well, it's unfortunate that we've allowed to dress up and change shit. When if we just slow down and use the eye is the windows to the soul, what we use to solar gaze and watch the sun. So if we're using that same eye, the third eye as well, which is what the sun will power, helps you to decode we live in. Hell is just Sheol is earth. Sheol has Leo, the lion, in there. Catholicism has Catolicism. Well, what cat is in the stars? But of course, Leo. Why is the Sphinx a feminine symbol facing Leo? That's not even that deep, but it is deep. It's way more complex than that because they're men and women. Words are containers. I did a presentation on Karen's name. Karen's name relates to Catherine. Catherine, Catholic. You find cat. And then from there it goes on into you find Sheol and all these words that relate to earth. And it takes us right back to astrology yet again. And it's quite simple to see it. And I think if we just go to etymology.com, Etymoline, I recommend all of y'all type in any word. I guarantee you, on, and you'll find a planet. You'll find some gods and goddesses, and they're all diverse, but they are all the same gods. All of them, man. And that's the beauty of Santos's work, is that what his syncretism has done, he's simplified it. The stuff that Santos shares is so much more complex there. But thank God he has a way that I could relate. And like, oh shit, I looked it up. Oh, there's the number 7. Number 12. Right? Jason had 12 companions, the Argonauts. Okay? Moses, 12 loaves of bread. What are these breads? We have slang. We have code terms. You know what I'm saying? That's my done. My done. Done is like your homeboy, but done is also atomic energy. It's tom-tom. It's atum. My done. My dunny. Aton. The sun. So even in New York, these dudes are saying things that they might not even know relate to what? Egypt. Samaria has the word sum. Sum is the total. Where is the Middle East? But in the that's the gate of the gods, where souls descend and materialize into this hell-formed body. Very simple. Babylon is the gate of the gods and the point of energy in the earth, literally, where all the energies and vibrations manifest themselves. And they have all kinds of genders, colors. You get your insects, animals, your elements from that point. That's why they're going to Iraq and bombing the shit out of Iraq. Iraq has the word Ira, like Ireland. It's the same shit. Ira, terra, terra firma. Africa means terra in etymology, earth. Guyonum in Jerusalem. Guyonum, guess what it means? Earth. Ghana, same word, earth in Africa. So how in the hell are we divided and confused? You know, when these words just speak for themselves and they're gorgeous.
Thanks for that, Jay. Notice
the only thing I can say is you got to stop clouding the issue with facts.
That's a joke. Oh, dearie me.
I really like what Angel was saying earlier. I want to look into that like really bad, because if he's correct, then I mean my theory still resonates. It just means that technically the Trinity is still there, but it just means that there wasn't the aspect. There was just the primordial source, and that was it. I've never considered the fact that the New Testament was added to create a straw man. I just always figured that Jesus actually existed, just never had the name of Jesus, actually had the name Yahusha because he was Hebrew, not Roman. It's just, I thought he literally was, the manifestation of the creator God, not the source, but the creator God on earth, in order for him to prove to us that the only way for us to return to the beings of light that we were originally meant to be before we sinned, in order to escape the material world and move on, we had to do it through him. And he proved it by manifesting himself material and then ascending after death, came to life after death, proving that only by him you could do. So I guess I'm still into search, and I still got to pull apart my symbology.
That could be possible. I'm not saying it's not, because it is in the realm of possibility. God can do whatever. But what I'm saying is the Roman Catholics took that person, this Christ figure, and they have expanded upon it. They put the stations in. They put the 7 sacraments. They expanded on stuff that led you down the path they wanted you to lead. They took the book of Enoch and one or two other things out of the canon because they talk about other beings and you know, stuff that is that you don't need to know about. It's beyond you. You don't need to know about it. Just be good. Follow the New Testament. Follow the teachings, and be good little drones. And they also, although it doesn't say it in the Bible, but the church was very happy to go along with the tithing bit and charging interest on their money. That's when the money grubbers got their hands into the church.
I actually figured out how that came about. That came about during the Egyptian times when the Pharaoh created a tithe for the wheat and stuff, and then the priests of the temples carried that tithe on after the drought and after the dead time ended because they made money off of it so well that they continued on with the tithe. And the church eventually adopted that. Why? Because I believe the Christian, deal was adopted loosely off of the Egyptian faith and stuff.
The love of money is the root of evil. And when the church was doing things for good, when people would donate to the church and the church would do good, when colloidal silver was holy water and the church would actually make colloidal silver, and when people came and they put it on their forehead and they splashed it on you, it was doing good. They decided, hey, we want to use these good as money-making people. We are now turning this into a business. We have the love of money now. And they focused on how can we increase our sales, our revenue. And they started pinching corners and not teaching the truth, but instead continuing with the symbolism. You still put your fingers in the holy water, but since it's not colloidal silver anymore, it doesn't have the health benefits it used to. But you're still going through the practice because, well, that's the way it's always been done. And you'll believe anything at this point.
Kind of like it just turns into a repetitious type of deal. You get so used to it that even though the effects of it are gone, it's like muscle memory. It just continues on. You just keep doing it, like drones, just mindlessly doing it without actually understanding the benefits, why you're doing it.
It's a placebo. Right? It went from being effective to being a placebo. And
yeah, I feel you. That makes sense. I can still see
the good donors in the front row are the ones who give tithing to the Father directly. They can get the real holy water, but the ones that are at the stations along the thing, that's just water. That's just blessed water.
I was looking into you guys.
Can I chime in about tithe? Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, go for it. No, go for it, bud.
Pardon me, man. Thank you so much. The tithing is beautiful. The story of Ulysses, he ties himself to sort of hold himself back from the sirens. And so a religion comes from the word relegare, to tie. So this is not necessarily a bad thing. To sort of chime on what you're both saying, that whole concept got messed with. And then so now people are bonded. And so there's no coincidence in porn. They have the bondage thing. You have to suffer and then let the goddess whoop you. Interesting there. Very interesting. It also means to tie, to bind. The ligament on the bone is doing the same thing Ulysses did, Christ did. Once again, the body always aligns. Everything in your body will definitely sync with what we're talking about right now, and is a direct reason why we're being told we're monkeys. We are unique. We are beautiful. We have a lot of abilities that are incredible. Even the ligament is saying something. I just wanted to chime in there.
Matthew?
Yeah, no, I heard that. I was waiting to see if Angel or anybody else wanted to comment. I was just gonna say before about when me and Angel were talking about the Old and New Testament and stuff. I was thinking maybe it's still possible that the Creator came from the prime source and then manifest himself, and that the Catholic Church, as you were saying, they focus so much on, as even though Jesus said, hey, focus on the Father, not me. He prayed to the Father, don't focus on me. The Catholics decided to focus their story pretty much 100% around Jesus, even though he preached not to, that way to keep the story on what the Catholics wanted to say rather than what Jesus was trying to say about the Father and the source and all that. I'm just curious if that resonates more with you, Angel, or hey, Santos.
Hey, brother, can I jump in?
Oh yeah, been waiting.
Please.
Okay.
Just before you go with your presentation, I'm going to leave because it's 4:30 over here, so it's very late.
I'll
So
see you next year.
yeah, see you next year. Have an healthy and happy New Year, and goodbye to you all.
Cheers, artist.
Oh, flat earth hugs for you, artist. Thanks for coming on.
Yep.
And
Santos?
see you this year. Oh, he's gone. Carry on then. Sorry, guys. Carry on, Santos.
Okay, so this will help you to no end. This will help you, what I'm about to share with you, to no end, because I can see where where you're hitting the nail right on the head, but there's just a few little confusing bits still lingering around. Okay, so let's sort out the theology / science of it all. There's no religions. Okay, there's only science. In all your textbooks, whether it's the Christian Greek scriptures, the Hebrew so-called scriptures, they're all dealing with science. Okay, it's called theological science, which is turned into a religion, a system. Nothing wrong with religion, but everybody's all not getting the understanding of what's exactly going on. What's going on in theology is there is a source God, and this is the one. And this is always Christ. It's never Jesus. Jesus is never that one. Okay, Jesus is the Son of God. So when you pay attention, you get to know the archetypes and who's who. There's a one God, there's a sevenfold God, Elohim, and there's a 12-fold God, which is the noumenal, or the nous, the mind of God. Okay, the mind is connected with spirit, and it's a 12ness. The physical body is a 7ness. It's an octave. Okay, your 7 chakras, the 7 colors of the electromagnetic spectrum, which is Lucifer, which is the god of matter, which is the spectrum which is involved with what is so-called solid. Therefore, it's Satan, Lucifer. Okay, those 7. So when you're talking about 7 and 12, we're talking about soul and mind. One is spirit. The spirit is indivisible. Christ is the spirit, Krishna. Okay, so when you're talking about Jesus, Jesus can only refer to the 7 or the 12. Okay, now the 7 and the 12 God, the Elohim or the Cosmocrators. See, there are 7 Olympians who defeat the 12 Titans. There are 7 Elohim who are in league with the 12 Adonai. You know, so what you've got is, okay, let me read from Alvin Boyd Kuhn. I recommend everybody get this book, Who is This King of Glory? Showing how Jesus the historical is the most limited of all the Jesuses that are taught. Christ, the Spirit, Jesus represents the soul of the universe, guys, okay? It's the soul of the universe. The soul is somewhat considered inferior for some reason to the spirit because it's partitioned into 7. And it's feminine, the Queen of Sheba. You see? Sheba means 7. The Queen of Sheba who marries Solomon is the one. The solo means one. Mono means one. Solo, mono. So the Queen of Sheba who marries Solo, mono, joins in holy matrimony because the spirit and soul are one. Okay, but the spirit is Christ. The soul is Jesus. because Christ, God, sends forth his Son into the world. And this is why you never deny that Christ was not in the flesh. Yes, Christ was in the flesh, not in one flesh, in every flesh, through Jesus, the super soul, the Paramatma. Okay? And so there's a division of God into mind and soul. Mind is 12, soul is 7. So when Jesus has 12 disciples, and Satan, the ruler of 7, because that's what Satan means, Shabbat, 7, the Sabbath, we see the fight between Jesus and Satan, because Jesus, Jupiter, Zeus, has 12. That's why I pointed you to the thoracic region of the 33 vertebrae. Right in the middle, you have the 12 vertebrae called the thoracic, Thor, right? Which open to the 24 rib bones, which come from 12 stem bones in the rib cage called the thoracic cage. Okay? Because Thor is always with 12. Thor and his 12 Knigets around the round table. And Saturn is the 7ness. You see, Saturn is considered more evil because it's the emotional side of the human nature rather than the mental 12ness, which is more noble and refined, you see, and is connected to the right hemisphere. You see, the right hemisphere is Abel and Cain is the left. And see, Cain kills Abel because Cain thinks he can, but he's not able. You know, when your little child says, Daddy, I can help you. Yes, son, you can help me, but you are not able. Because sometimes in helping their fathers, they make more trouble for them. You see, so the reason Cain kills Abel is the left hemisphere must kill Abel, who is really, truly able. And therefore, we have this predominance of right-handed, left hemisphere, linear, male, patriarchal type of activity on the earth, where the right hemisphere connected to the left hand, which is matriarchal, which is intuition, which is God. Okay, see, the sinister, to be practicing sin means to be on the left side, sinister, and that's the left side of the cerebrum. Cerebrum means Sarah Abraham, you see, in heaven, the cerebrum. So when you go to practice sin in the left, that means you're using your left cerebrum for rational thinking only. That's sinful. You're not connecting to your right hemisphere, which is Abel, because you're killing Abel. You're a Canaanite. And so, hence, you're not engaging with God and intuition and the mother. You see, God is not a boy. God is a divine couple. Radha and Krishna, Mary Magdalene and Christ. Jesus is the Son of God because it's the soul. It's either the soul or the mind, the logos. Okay, the logos is 12, the soul is 7. Let me read from Alvin Boyd Kuhn. People, this is the most important book you'll ever learn about Christ and who Christ really is. Okay, Christ is in your heart. Get to know him. Okay, Jesus is also in your heart. Jesus is called the Jiva Atma. Christ is the Paramatma in your heart. It's 4 inches high. Synesthetic people can see it. It's the center of your aura, Taurus field. In your aura is where Christ is residing, okay? The crystal Christ of oneness. But the 7ness of your 7 chakras and the 12ness of the 12 cranial nerves, that Jesus, which pertains to mind, soul, and body, and not of spirit. Jesus is not of spirit. Jesus is of mind, soul, and body, which is 12 and 7, guys, okay? There are 12 systems in your body. There are 7 other systems in your body. The 7 septicana cavern, which is the cave, the seven-chambered heart, which you have in your torus field. Okay, everything in the body is a 12ness. So let's hear what Alvin Boyd Kuhn says on page 207. In the esoteric understanding, the 12 disciples were the same in 12 aspects as the 3 kings or 3 wise men were in a threefold division. Or they were the same 3 powers of spirit further subdivided into 12 aspects. They were just the spiritual power and intelligence which is the Christ itself, manifesting its wholeness as a 12-part segmentation. In the same way in which the atomic force of the universe manifests a 7-part differentiation, so the spiritual nucleus of life manifests in a 12-part unfoldment. Nature sounds a 7-key octave, and the divine mind sounds a 12-key diapason. Each in its unfoldment sounds but 1 key at a time, until the succession covers the gamut. The soul advances through the scale of evolution. She passes through 12 grades of being at one time, adding unto her equipment the quality gained from experience at each level, till her absorption of the essence of all nature is complete finally in a 12-fold unity. These 12 qualities of perfected spiritual cognition are what are represented by the 12 signs of the zodiac. The suns passing successively through each sign and acquiring the special powers of each, typing the soul's round of elements and the acquisition of the 12 intelligences. In the rituals of Egypt, the soul had to pass successively through 12 dungeons, each guarded by a god, in each of which was a captive, until the door was opened by the god, who held the key and would not use it until the mortal could pronounce his name. Obviously, man is a prisoner to a faculty until he opens his ability to utilize and command its powers. Ignorance is ever the jailer of knowledge, is the only release. No, sorry, ignorance is ever the jailer and knowledge is the only release. Inasmuch as light produced by suns is the highest aspect of creative energy, the dark dungeon was the appropriate symbol of the benighted condition of the soul which imprisoned in matter. When imprisoned in matter. The creative command, "Let there be light," was the divine fiat that ordered the suns to shine and the galaxies to glisten. And light in the physical area was the perfect analog and symbol of the light of the intelligence that was to glow in the domain of ignorance, as solar light was to irradiate the universe of space. 12 lights would therefore be the most apt symbol of the 12 basic powers of divine intelligence. And this brings us back to the primal true designation of the 12 rays of genius in man, the 12 saviors of the treasures of the light. In various other symbolic typings, they were the 12 reapers of the golden grain, the 12 harvesters in the field of Amenta, the 12 builders, 12 carpenters, 12 masons, 12 potters, 12 weavers of the pattern, 12 fishermen, 12 rowers of the boat with Horus, 12 sailors in the ship of Ra, the sun. They are the 12 powers of sun god intelligence. And as ancient philosophy brings out the astounding facts, that sunlight is the eventual product of divine mentation, the light of the sun is the pure energy of intellect, says Proclus in one of the most illuminating sentences ever uttered. The 12 quote-unquote rays of the solar logos become at last in men and gods the 12 faculties of spiritual intelligence and evolution, of which makes each man in his aeonial career a Christ, instructing and training his 12 disciples within the confines of his own individuality. They were the fourfold differentiation under the symbolism of fire, air, water, and earth. Of each of the three kings, or kingly powers of divine intellect, into which primordial unity of mind breaks up in its necessary fragmentation as it descends into matter. You see, this is how the Logos descends from one Christ into a divided Jesus of 7 soul and 12 mind. As water falling from the height breaks up into fragments owing to the resistance of air, and the bloodstream divides from the heart, and a tree trunk from its lower stern, so unitary intellect descending from on high breaks up into first a threefold partition, and finally into a 12-fold division. In reduction to simplest form, all this means that as in physical matter and its manifestation on earth, there are 4 basic differentiations of expression as fire, air, water, and earth. And so in mind, there are 4 analogues. There are 4 analogous sub-differentiations. Again, in soul, the same 4, and again in spirit, the same 4. So, the 12 great qualities that are to divine us are the spirit's fire, air, water, and earth, the soul's fire, air, water, and earth, and the mind's fire, air, water, and earth, all combined in one grand synthesis, the Christ consciousness. You see, Christ is spirit, Jesus is soul, and the Logos is mind, you see. And there's always a war between Satan and Jesus. Jesus, Jupiter, Jesus, normally has 12, and he's on the side of mind. He's mental and rational. And then Satan, Shabbat, he's more emotional and feminine. Oh, the woman. She's just emotional all the time, isn't she? She's always corrupting the mind. Oh, the mind of the man is more pure, isn't he? We see this is the rubbish that the theologians will not bother to explain to you. When you understand theology and science correctly and your nature, you will understand that you are the one, you are Christ, you are the 7, whether that is your satanic nature, you want to call it that, the emotional nature, go ahead. Or the 12ness of mind, and you are a rational, God-loving, fearing, or whatever you want to call it, being. These are all God. These are all the parts of God, and these are the numbers how God, you, are manifesting in this phenomenal world produced by the causal noumenal world. So when you understand theology to be science, pure science, that's all it is. It's all it ever has pretended to be. It's only the false priests of Baal who are teaching you the literalist version and are literalizing all of these sacred scriptures, therefore taking God's immortal person and glory away from the truth, and hence giving glory to the Creator and stealing it for themselves, for their cheap magic tricks, you know. So once you understand theology correctly, guys, you must understand astrology. You must be masters of astrology. Now's the time. It's not yesterday and it ain't tomorrow. That's why Jesus taught about the 12. Once you understand the 12 gods, the 12 titans of creation, the mind forces of the universe, and the 7, the octave, which resonates with the 12, then you have the 8-spoked wheel and you have the 12-spoke wheel. When you study those wheels, you come to a root of 26. 2 times 6 is 12, and 2 plus 6 is 8. So you always end up with 8 and 12. Okay? So the octave and the dozen, folks, this is God. This is how God manifests. And so when you're talking about Jesus, understand what you're talking about. You're not talking about the Most High, the Christ, the One, the Source. You're talking about the demiurge, rather, because soul and mind is demiurge, okay? And all is mind. And all is that demiurge, which is the Son of God. If you have seen the Son, you have seen the Father. It is no use crucifying the Son. We are going around crucifying the worshippers of the Son because they call it Quetzalcoatl, Buddha, Viracocha, Osiris, Thor, and we claim that you can only pronounce it thusly, Jesus. If you don't believe in Jesus, you get to die. We decapitate you. There's only one religion, guys. There's never been a time in history when there has never, ever, ever been Christianity. It has always been the operating DOS system of the universe. It always will be. When you understand it as the true astrological religion, which is handed down to us by our ancestors and persecuted by the Jesuits, the co-opters of all of the natural sciences, and the witch hunters par excellence, then you will understand how torus fields work, how atoms work. Just see my presentations. And another thing I just want to throw in quickly, because all you guys are just absolutely delighting me with your wisdom and genius, and this syncretism gets better by the day. You're all hitting the right buttons and you're all resonating with the whole truth of syncretism. So I applaud you. And a couple of weeks back, I showed Stan Tenen, right? Dance of the Hebrew letters. Yes, you can get the Hebrew letters from the Star of David. You can also get them if you put a sundial in the ground vertically and intertwine 2 Kundalini serpents at a certain distance from the sundial center. I don't know the percentage. You'll have to ask Tony Bushby, another researcher here in Queensland, Australia, who exposed this in one of his books. I've read all his books, so I don't remember which one, that if you put a sundial with 2 intertwining serpents in the ground from morning till sunset, you will get all 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet in shadow on the flat horizontal plane that you're projecting the shadow onto. Another way you will get the 22 or 27 letters of the Hebrew alphabet is if you study Stan Tenen's YouTube video called Dance of the Hebrew Letters. Please, please, at least watch part 1. 10 minutes of the most glorious wisdom you will ever, ever delight your ears with. Stan Tenen, genius, superstar syncretist, and philosopher and wisdom keeper par excellence. Please study Stan Tenen. So, and if you study some of my presentations on the theme of all is Atum, if you go to my YouTube channel, Mr. Astrotheology, the first video you'll see will be one of those. Click on that and then you'll start understanding what Atum means. I'll give you the secrets of all theology in 3 words. Please, please pay attention. All torus fields are Atums. That's what they are, okay? All is Atum. Atum means Adam, it means Aten, it means Amun, and all of its subderivations and whatever else. It is only Atum. There's only this sound, Om, which must proceed from a T or a D, d, or other percussive sounds, and then end with a liquid consonant, or N, or other ones like sh, s, and all of the other liquids. But I won't get into that. Here's the point. All torus fields are. There are two words you must understand with toruses. You must understand torus and hyperboloid. Boloid. Hyperbol. Bol. That word bol, that's the word, that's Baal. That is all the 50% of all words that pertain to theology and syncretism in the universe. The other 50% are the torus words. Okay? So atum means one. Atum is divided into red. When white light divides, it goes red shift, then blue shift instantly. But first is red shift. This is a fact and a truth, which are two different things. It is both a fact and truth. Okay? So truth is over and above fact, guys. Okay? Jesus, the historical fact, is way inferior to Jesus, the eternal truth. Okay? So when white light divides, a twin is produced. This is Tom. Thomas means twin. Atom means one. The name of the twins are Taurus and Bull. Red shift, blue shift. Tor, wrote. Well, there it is. Tor backwards is rotating. It's the rotating torus magnetic fields, which are atoms. Okay? They are toruses. And rot means red. See German, see Dutch, see all Nordic languages, see Italian, rosso, rouge in French, Russian, rust, Taurus. It's red shift, blue shift. Blue is bull. Now, when you speak hyperbolically, you are making a noise with your mouth, hence you are talking. Taurus, talking. And you are speaking bull, hyperbolically. So you're talking bollocks, yeah? Because bull means to thrust, hence ballistics, hence bulb. What's a bulb? It's thrusting outward. It's a flower in bulb. So it's a torus bowl. So when you understand you have a light bulb, when you have bulk items, you have many. All of this bull, Baal, it's rooted in the word bello, beautiful. Because you see, the twin sons of Taurus, of Atum, is Taurus bull, red shift, blue shift. And you see, this is why Satan is red and good old Krishna is blue. Because the blue ray, if you look at the blue chakra, it has 16 petals. Blue laser is much more higher capacitance than red laser. Lasers are nothing but coherent light. White light is incoherent. The sun is emanating white light. It's incoherent. It's just a condensed rainbow. Okay? So that's just scattering out incoherent magnetism. A laser picks one of those rays, specializes, focuses on that, and makes a coherent field. Now you have a laser. And so when you look at the blue throat chakra, it has 14 petals. When you look at the red chakra, at the bottom it has 4. Okay? 4 is the color of foundation. It's red. Red shift is 4. It's bloody. Adam means red. All the twins in the Bible are red shift, blue shift. Adam means red. Eve means blue. Cain means red. Abel means blue. Havel. Esau means red. Jacob means blue. All twins are red and blue. The serpents of Moses, Jannes, and defeated the serpents of Jannes and Jambres. Janis and Jambries means yinners and yangers, yin and yang. When the unity spirit of Christ swallows up the dualistic spirit of red shift, blue shift, which is the world that we are swallowing, red pill, red blood, blue blood. When we, as Walter Russell says, we go beyond the red and the blue into the white light, and then past the white light into the black resting light of Krishna, Christ, because that's what Christ means. It means rest. It means black, cryptic, hidden, black. Christ means black, black, black. Naga, black. That's why Christ is black. That's why Krishna is black. It's the black source light of the field. And his partner is white, golden Radharani. And see, when dielectricity and magnetism, Krishna and Radharani, respectively, make transcendental sex in Vrindavan, they produce a third partner, Balaram, L. Balaram is electricity, red shift, blue shift, the transverse wave. Because black and white, they don't vibrate. It's a longitudinal pulse. There's no vibration. So black Krishna and white Radha are superior to blue Krishna and red Radha. Red means Radha. You see, radiate, radiation. So it's all about one trinity, black and white light, which is superior and transcendental to the second demiurgic trinity, red shift, blue shift, which is the Son, Jesus, which differentiates into the numbers 7 and 12. And that's it. As Alvin Boyd Kuhn said, the soul of the universe is a sevenfold octave, and the mind sounds a 12-tone diapason. And hence you have 12 chromatic, I'm a musician, so I know about the 12 chromatic chromatic musical notes, and I also play the Olympian 7 diatonic scale. You know, so when I pick up my guitar, I can either go, and that's the 12 Titans, or I can go, and that's an octave. It's 12 and 8, 12 and 8, wherever you go. And that's how Jesus is differentiated from Christ. So I hope I've simplified things for you. I'll hand over to someone else then.
We're all muted. We were all listening, Santos. Matthew.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to put this together so that way I can try to make heads and tails over. Well, I'm getting everything that Santos is saying, but now I'm trying to make heads and tails on how to try to figure out my theories. Because, like I said, I'm very open to everything, and I'm not just solidified in everything that I believe as it's, concrete. And I like to listen to everybody else's stuff, and if it resonates more, it makes more sense. I try to see where it is in my theories, because I actually haven't been considering the dielectric and magnetic components into electromagnetism and stuff. Think about that too. So that I'm glad that he actually mentioned the dielectric components and the magnetic components about electromagnetic. I mean, to me, it's pretty much, goes further back to that, because to me, magnetism is that point of inertia that energy wants to find, because energy moves in that double helix fashion, and when it finds that point of inertia, which is magnetism, it flows into it, creating a vortex, and when it hits that point of inertia, it gets deflected, and then it comes back in on itself, creating that torus. That's the magnetic torus field right there. That's the way that I've understood it. If you, I saw you were going to say something, Santos.
Yeah, just if I could jump in real quickly. The inertia is dielectricity. Magnetism is force. So there are two co-eternal, coexistent principles, and they are force and motion, which is magnetism, and inertia and acceleration, dielectricity. Those are two of the three field modalities, if you want to call it that. Okay, so force and motion, magnetism, the inertia and acceleration, this is dielectricity. This is black light. This is Krishna. And this is where the center of the vortex, which is what is the black lines. If you've studied, it appears that you've studied Ken Wheeler's work. You will see those the ferro cells, how they produce white and black lines. Those black lines there, those are centripetal convergent. The white lines, they are centrifugal divergent. That's magnetism. That white line, that is Radharani radiating. That is force and motion. That black light, that's the opposite. That's inertia and acceleration.
See, I
and then we get from that.
I combine that knowledge with scientific Lee, Ken Wheeler with scientific Lee, because Ken Wheeler only touches basis on magnetism, whereas scientific Lee talks about the flow. And the way that I understood it was almost exactly like how you're explaining it, except the dielectricity is like the dielectric field. It's the unpolarized dielectric field. And when there's a perturbation within the field, that dielectric field becomes polarized. And then that polarized field locates that perturbation, that point of perturbation, which is now the point of inertia, which is the magnetism. And then it flows, the dielectric energy flows into it in a centripetal convergent motion, or yes, centripetal convergent motion. And when it exits, it exits as electromagnetism. And then then that's how it circles around. And then when that electromagnetism passes through matter, that's when you have electricity, because, well, not passes through, because electricity is the current in between it, but it needs matter. So you go from the dielectric to the electromagnetic because of the magnetic pull towards it. That's how you get that electromagnetic, from the dielectric to the electromagnetic. Then it goes through matter, because matter accumulates when you have the dual toroids. That's why I believe the Earth is in between two toroidal fields, because all the energy is being forced into the plane created between the two fields, creating the matter, aka elemental material that we have. Since I believe that I don't believe in particles. I believe more along the lines of string, energy theory, that everything is vibrating at a, smaller than, not quantum, but because quantum hints at quantity and particle parts. But I say it's just energy vibrating, and at a density, it gets accumulated so much that it creates a mass. And then that mass creates a larger field of plane of equilibrium, where energy will naturally seek, that dielectric field. And now that it's within that perturbation of the, energy flow that's growing and growing because of the matter in between, well, it gets caught within that. And then all of a sudden that dielectric energy enters into the mix. And now you've got a electromagnetic field. But if that's the way I've understood it this entire time, and if I've had it a little bit mixed up, then I'm curious to figure out.
No, both of those guys are explaining electromagnetism and what Ken calls magnetodielectricity quite well. What I'm doing is I've seen all of scientifically stuff too, and he's right on there, right there with the flower of life and all of his findings. What you'll find is, if you just have a look at some of my presentations, I'll be releasing my All Is Atum presentation soon. And so what I've shown is I'm merging all of this and gone way, 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 way beyond where these guys will ever find themselves in, probably in this lifetime and many more to come. Because if what they don't understand is the 12ness of their energy fields that they're looking at, both of them. Both of them are, one professes to be a Jesus freaking follower. He's such a Jesus freak, knows nothing about Jesus. If he knew about Jesus, he would understand his Taurus field is a 12ness. If you can't see a 12ness from Aries to Pisces in all things, you ain't looking at squat. Diddly
I
squat.
understand I kind of get what you mean by the 12ness. I want to understand that more. If you can reach more in depth as far as, body, air, fire, water, earth, and spirit and mind, air, fire, water, earth. Are you talking about the different properties as far as like you've got the neutral and then the positive and negative, or the black, white, and neutral? You got the three sets as always. It's not just it's not just a duality because there's always neutral in the mix. But is that 12? Does that go anywhere near my theory as far as the 12 original sciences of creation? I heard you kind of comment on that, so I was wondering, as like electromagnetism, dielectricity, magnetism, stuff like that. Is that what it means?
Yes. All of these religions and sacred textbooks, they're all talking about science. It's all dealing with the Holy Trinity of dielectricity, always first, magnetism, always second, and the inferior vibratory energy called electricity. Hence, when you've got the Holy Trinity in the East, Krishna, Radha, and Bel, you've got Israel. Okay, Krishna, Radha, and Balaram. It's always dielectricity, black light, magnetism, white light, and electricity, red and blue light. And this is why it is the child of God. It is the one that was sent forth into the world to save the world. It was the light that God sent forth that the world recognized not, etc., etc. You see, they are only talking about these three field modalities in all books. There's never been a book written, whether it's a nursery rhyme or a sacred text or whatever it is, that is not speaking about this Holy Trinity, because there's no other subject, because that's all that exists. The field, you see, the counter space where Vrindavan, where paradise is not in this vibratory transitory temporal world, mundane world in which we are living in past, now, and future. There it is all eternity in counter space. And there is where mind projected from. So the 12ness of mind projected from that, you see. And so this is where we, this is when the field, that field is static in that it is not partaking of any temporal illusion. And so when that field is perturbed, that's why the cosmocrator, the sun, Saturn, Jupiter, the seven Elohim, that's why they are responsible for this inferior world, quote unquote. This is what the Gnostic Christians called it, the world of the demiurges and abortion, etc. It's because their world is not from the still world which causes this world, which is it is transcendental. This is mundane. This is temporal. So one day it is here, the next day it is gone. So that's why it is evil, but it's not necessarily evil. It's just evil in the sense that it is not pure. And it doesn't suffer. It suffers past and future. So it wears out. It tires one out. It has pain and suffering involved with it, you see, and all of its illusions. And see, we forget that we are atemporal and unconditioned in our true, state before we incarnated. So that's what all the sciences are talking about, because they are not just, mechanical material energies. Dielectricity is unconditioned blissful consciousness and unconditioned wisdom and love. you know. And magnetism is not just a mechanical unconscious force. It is all of consciousness. That's where it comes from. That's why God is elusive, because people know that God is everywhere, nowhere is everything. It's God is omniscient, omnipresent, because it's how we are, how we exist. It's all God. So those atheists who deny God, they're insane. They deny, they show, they betray their insanity, because they are God. It's like the foot saying, "Oh, I don't know who that bloke on top of me is. He calls himself Santos, and he walks on me every day. I don't recognize him." Well, it's my toe. It's my toe. It's so. Yeah, denying God is denying. You can't do it, because to do so you can't speak. That's how you properly deny God. So in their denying God, they are telling forth God. So it's anyway, guys. So it's all about how torus fields work. They work in a 12ness. The center where the energy decides through its willpower to come forth and unfurl in the golden section ratio, that is Aries. And where it reaches its wave amplitude, that's Cancer. Where it reaches its wavelength, that's Libra. That's why the scales of Libra are there to tell you we're at 180 degrees of the wave, right? So then it turns around and it folds back into itself, a la unscientific Lee and his Jesus who helps him. I don't know why he doesn't help him with the real truth. So, and what is happening is it's unfurling in a 12ness, and then at the other wave amplitude is Capricorn, and then at the end of the wave is Pisces, the two fish. And that's the only way to understand God, energy, consciousness, everything. Do you want a big toe? Do you want the grand unified theory? You'll never find a better one. Never, never. It's the 12ness. And it will really hit home, listeners, if you watch Stan Tenon's Dance of the Hebrew Letters, and also watch my one on the runes, the Nordic runes, and the Futhark. I'm going to release one next week about the Futhark. Watch out for that one. And also watch out for the presentation I've done on Julian the Emperor, who his uncle Constantine was the deviant who introduced this whole monkey story about a Jesus historical man who came here to defecate and urinate and die on a cross, a la Mel Gibson's Jesuit Passion of Christ bullshit, and a la his mother Helen, who went to friggin' the Middle East and invented Nazareth because it was in the sacred scriptures for gazillions of years, and so she actually made a town called Nazareth, the stupid woman, so that their historical Jesus bullshit Roman calendar could be used to sodomize us for 2,000 years. There ain't never been a historical Jesus, dudes. Never and never will come to save nobody. Vicarious salvation, that's for buffoons. Remember Jesus in Matthew chapter 7? Many will say to me in that day, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? Did we not expel demons and perform many powerful works and testimony and witness to your name and so many deeds and blah, 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 blah. Get away from me, you workers of lawlessness. I never knew you. I never knew you. Sorry. Get away. Don't touch me. You're defiled. They're defiled with stupidity because they're waiting for Jesus to come and wipe their diapers. Oh, he's coming in the clouds. There he is. Jesus. That's the Jesuit Jesus, dudes. The Illuminati families. Check out my presentation exposing the Illuminati families behind the globe and Jesus, the historical dude. Yeah. Yep. Those might be handy vids to watch. And Alvin Boyd's Coon, who is this King of Glory? And find out about the glorious Christ within, guys. It's so wonderful when you practice true Christianity. It's non-ejaculatory, It's consciousless, guilt-free sex. It's raising the chrism. Oh yeah, by the way, I was going to read something real nice about raising the chrisms, guys. While we're on this, nice article. I forgot to. Oh, well, I didn't get a chance to read it earlier on when the other guys were on talking about this. Here's an article called "Semen Spirituality, China in India" in the on the net. I'll just read a few snippets. According to the Chinese text, the manuals of the immortals, the adept can make the semen nourish the brain by applying the 2 middle fingers to a spot behind the scrotum and in front of the anus, while at the same time the breath should be fully expelled from the mouth, none being retained in the lungs. Thus, all semen will come back from the stalk of jade and mount upwards to enter the brain. Okay, that's from the book Si Fan Furuan, Sex in China. Now, it was mentioned earlier on, how can you practice, how can you teach young men? Easy. 2 exercises. Learn how to breathe and expel all the breath from your lungs. When
Santos, Matthew
Yeah?
wasn't here for that bit. Do you just want to explain a little bit about what you're talking about? Because he wasn't on the hangout when big
that's right.
discussion about.
Yeah, true. Well, the point is, what I teach is true Christianity, which is non-ejaculatory sex, which is, if you understand how to read the Christian Greek scriptures, you will realize that that's what it's talking about, how to raise the Christ. And that is the cerebrospinal fluids, which end up in the semen, you see, which give life and which are to be retained at all times in sexual practices. And so in doing so, in White Tantra, you are actually practicing the most ancient, true Christian science, not the religion of Constantine based on a Anno Domini Julius Caesar Anno Domini calendar. So they call it Anno Domini because it's anal domination. And they replaced JC, Jesus Christ, with Julius Caesar, which it is. It's the Julian calendar. It's not. This is the joke the Romans love to play. The plebes go, oh, yes, but Jesus was born. He was, because it's his calendar, isn't it? Anno Domini, Dominus is the Lord, Jesus. No, it's the Lord is Julius Caesar, dudes. Because Jesus Christ historical did not live. It's a Roman hocus pocus, honky shonky, wonky, dodgy, bogus, pseudo science Ponzi scheme. Big time. Big time. And what they're doing is they're introducing through the Jesuits how to eat dead corpses, animals, called cuisine, and how to ejaculate, which are the 2 reasons why people are dying. Because they poison their bodies with animal blood, and they are expelling their life force because they don't know how to, they're incontinent and can't retain it for more than, 36 seconds? I wonder what's the experience with most of the ladies out there. Do you get more than a minute out of most of those guys, ladies? Yeah, let's not go there. Anyway, so here's another article here. The science of the ancient sages teaches that the sexual reproductive power, the life force, can be transmuted into superior forms of energy called ojas or tejas. The practitioner causes his seed to rise up to his crown center, Sahasrara, the crown chakra, where it becomes transformed into soma, the nectar of immortality. This is how you live forever, guys, okay? It's the elixir of life which is hiding in your body. See my presentation, Secret of Secrets, the elixir of life hiding in your body. It's the most viewed one of all the presentations I've ever done. Continuing, through the tantric procedures via the lymphatic system, the semen reaches the brain, corpus callosum, where it is processed into extremely subtle energies, ojas and tejas, used by the higher mind. As the physical brain needs oxygen and proteins to function properly, the higher mind, superconsciousness, needs big quantities of ojas and tejas energy. The tejas energy is that energy which produces the halo around the saint's head. The ojas energy is that energy which confers the extraordinary vigor, power, and virility. Semen retention is very valuable for both spiritual and material health. Semen retained in the body goes upwards to nourish the brain, rendering the body robust. And the memory and intellect incredibly sharp. Confidence, determination, optimism, willpower, fixed intelligence, noble character, photographic memory, and shining good health are all fruits of conserved semen. In the beginning, Brahma created the four sages named Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatan, and Sanatan Kumara. All of them were unwilling to adopt materialistic activities because they were highly elevated due to their semens flowing upwards. Observance of brahmacharya would appear to be meaningless because scientists through laboratory tests have proven that semen cannot be reabsorbed into the system and that the brain has nothing to do with semen. Observance of brahmacharya would appear to be meaningless because scientists would, through laboratory tests, answer. This is the answer. Semen is a mysterious secretion that is able to create a living body. Yeah, see George Carey's work. Semen itself is a living substance. It is life itself. Therefore, when it leaves man, it takes a portion of his own life. A living thing cannot be put into laboratory tests without first killing it. The scientist has no apparatus to test it. I have thousands of letters from young men who have wasted this precious fluid, who are in a miserable plight. This is the guy writing the article. Several young men even go to the point of committing suicide. Through reckless waste of semen, they lose all their physical, mental, and intellectual faculties. Those who are perfect brahmacharins have lustrous eyes, a healthy body and mind, and a keen, piercing intellect. Through the practice of yoga, the seminal energy, not the gross physical semen, flows upward and enriches the mind. This has been declared by the sages. You will have to experience it yourself. Anyway, I'm not going to read on. That article, if you want me to send that to you, just send me an email or something. But it's called The Seminal Truth. Okay? Semen, Spirituality, China and India. And there's various articles. I just won't go into them all. But that's the true Christian religion, guys.
Can I ask a question? You've been talking about all that for men. Is it the same for women then?
Yes? I didn't hear anything.
I just said, you've said all this about men, about why men shouldn't be releasing their sperm, but then...
Well, it's see, the fluids, they're all related to the cerebrospinal fluids, which are produced in the claustrum, which are the life fluids, which are the corpuscles, if you want to call them such, or life energy, which creates all the other 12 systems in the body. Comes from the cerebrospinal. According to George Carey, the first fully developed in the body. And so it nourishes through the vagus nerve, the pneumogastric nerve system, all of the vital organs, you see. And that's the river of life flowing through the Garden of Eden. When you eat the fruit of life from the tree of the fruit of life, you are having a physical ejaculation. You don't need to. Men and women can have sustained orgasms. no detriment in having an orgasm. This is different to an ejaculation. So you can have a sustained orgasm if you have the correct sexual practice. You don't need to be secreting all of these crystic fluids, because they all differentiate from the claustrum. See, they're pure at the claustrum, and then they enter the third ventricle, where they are differentiated the first time through the pineal gland and the pituitary gland. And then they descend and get further differentiated at the thymus, the thyroid, then the thymus, then pancreas, adrenals, etc. And so the endocrine system just dilutes this manna from heaven, this soma juice. So in order to re-enable the body and re-enable and re-enable the Christ and get out of the carnal mind and go into Krishna consciousness, you need to return those fluids, and they need to be perfected again and unified, purified, because they have now been differentiated. It's just an alchemical process. There's nothing so scary about it or daunting. It's the only story that is in all sacred scriptures. How you, with the elements that you've inherited in your body of earth, fire, air, and water, how you purify them and how you return them back to unity glory. And you do this time and time again. Whenever you incarnate, whenever you wish to dance in the phenomenal world and experience pleasure and pain, red shift, blue shift. And then you go back to cause through this process of returning back to Christ. This shows that Christ is not historical, because you can go anywhere in the universe and you'll find a story about Christ. There's only the one story. There's no other story. I've proven it. There's only the one story. Okay, the names are different. Yeah, but a car in Italian is macchina. But we're not going to kill each other because I offended you because I called your car a macchina. That's not an offensive word. It still means car. So you don't have to punch me in the teeth and stab me because I don't belong to the religion of calling a car a car. Okay, when I'm in France, I call it a voiture. Yeah, a coche in Spain. But Christ is never differentiated into anything else other than Christ. Doesn't matter what you call it. It matters not. And we are being deluded when we think that men invented religions and whatnot. That no, we are scientists. It's science. The ones who make religions, like the Joseph Smiths and the Charles Taze Russells and the Rothschilds and the Vatican families, they all own one of those corporate Christian registered 501c3 corporatized Jesuit-controlled churches. Rest assured, there's an Illuminati family behind every single one of them. The true Protestants, the Cathars, the Bogomils, the Albigenses, the Socinians, the Lollards, the Collegians, etc. They were snuffed out by Calvin and Martin Luther, who were Jesuits, and the Copernican types, the Globies, and the elite families who have witch hunted the true Christian religions of not eating meat and not ejaculating and knowing about the Christ within and astrology and the healing properties of herbs, etc.
Can I ask a question, Brother Santos, about so I'm definitely working on conserving my sexual energy. So if you find a soulmate, right, that you connect with, then would you say it would be fair to ejaculate within that partner to create a baby? Because I know I've heard you talk about how the immaculate conception is possible within us, but at this age, because we have been very much disconnected from nature and how to do that. So what are you making a baby? I mean, ejaculating in a woman that you love or of that nature? That's my question.
Well, I suppose for most of us on this call, we're probably not advanced enough to know how to procreate without spilling the semen. But this is what the Jesuits are withholding from mankind, because they are the initiators of the left-hand path and teaching that anything goes and you can spill the seed. They started all of this. This is where this holy, unholy, blasphemous, meat-eating and ejaculating religion comes from. This is the two most detrimental, hurtful, harmful activities that are demonic that humanity are practicing right now. Let me read from The Perfect Matrimony by Samael Aoun Weor. Here he says, "It is not necessary to spill the semen to engender a child. Imbeciles like to spill the semen. The Gnostic is not an imbecile. When the couples are sexually united, clairvoyants clearly see a very brilliant light which envelops the pair. In this instant, precisely, the creative forces of nature come to serve as a means for the creation of a new being. When the couple allow themselves to be carried away by carnal passions and then commit the crime of spilling the semen, those luminous forces withdraw. Their place is taken by luciferic forces of a blood-red color, bringing quarrels, jealousy, adultery, tears, and desperation to the home. This is how homes, which could have been a heaven on earth, become true infernos. Whoever does not spill the semen retains, accumulates for himself peace, abundance, wisdom, happiness, and love. With the key of sexual magic, one can put an end to disputes in the home. This is the key to true happiness. During the act of sexual magic, couples are charged with magnetism. They magnetize each other. The pelvis of the woman pours out feminine currents, whilst the breasts give off masculine ones. In the man, the feminine current is rooted in the mouth, and the masculine in his virile member. All these organs should be well excited by means of sexual magic in order to give and receive, transmit and collect vital magnetic forces, which continue increasing extraordinarily in quantity and quality. I can verify this, guys. 5 years of practicing this, and instantly when I practice sex, I am in bliss, and I don't have to practice any. I don't need it. I really don't. I can live without it. I can live with it. Sometimes I have it, sometimes I don't, because I only have transcendental sex, okay? When couples magnetize each other, oh, hang on a minute. Okay. In the homes of Gnostic initiates, where between the couples there is such intimate sexual contact, delightful dance, joyful music, the ardent kiss, have the object of achieving of a mutual magnetization of man and woman. The magnetic power is masculine and feminine at the same time. The man needs the currents of his wife if he really wants to progress, and inevitably she needs those of her husband to achieve the development of her powers. When the couples magnetize each other, things progress and happiness makes its nest in the home. When a man and a woman unite, something is created. Scientific chastity permits the transmutation of the sexual secretions into light and fire. Every religion which degenerates preaches celibacy. Every religion at its birth and in its glorious splendor preaches the path of the perfect matrimony. Okay, this is the path of the perfect matrimony that I'm speaking about, guys. I practice it, have been for better part of 6 years now, and it gets more and more glorious every time, okay, where you don't have any desire for sex at all. And it's like almost, yeah, and it's not bothering you, it's not calling you, it's not demanding your attention, it's not alluring you. You are the master of it. You can do it whenever you want, how much ever you want, and you can put it in its place, you dominate it, you put it in the cupboard, you take it out. whatever you want. You are the master. And there's only one way of doing that. You can only be a master of anything when you are a master of your ejaculation, period. Until such time, you are not a master. You are not a master of anything.
Hence, passing your testes, the testicles, right? I mean, this all comes from us. And then, because my frustration with that was like, well, why would we be given this option to let it out, right? And because I'm getting there. I really actually am starting to feel. I used to always look at women and get this butterfly feeling and excited, and then I want to go and do something, and then I get it out, and then I feel like, what a relief. But then, of course, the energies within me were just always draining and draining and draining. But then I'm thinking about it now, and I'm thinking, okay, well, if this earth is called hell metaphorically, if these bodies are kind of hellish bodies, if we're trapped in this shell and these testes, then in a sense, like, I guess it's our goal, each and every one of us, to pass this test of balance, just balance. I mean, I guess it's just really simple. I mean, because if I think too hard about it, then I get in my own head about sexual energy. It's so tricky. Like, cause it's the temptation is like, I mean, there's a damn group called the Temptations for a reason. I mean, it's that intense. So yeah, I'm grateful to hear that, man. I'm getting there, but it's difficult, but it makes total sense to me now. I mean, even more and more.
A lot of people struggle with Jesus, because Jesus as the literal model is a good model. It's a moral man who is a blessed man with great teachings, and the teachings are what is the point. It's in the teachings. Blessed are those who hear my words and practice them. It's in the words. It's not in any historical fact. You will never be blessed by a historical fact per se. So it doesn't matter if he was blue-eyed, golden-haired, or a black Jesus, or he was Galilean or Judean or demonic or a wine drinker and friend of tax collector. It doesn't matter, because they are all symbols. They're all symbols. They're all symbols of your nature and what you are struggling with, addictions, lust, and how you are transmuting your Jesus into a Christ. You've seen the Son, you will see the Father. So you're all glorious. You are all glorious Christians, because you have all been christened with Christ consciousness, and you are reactivating that, and you will become fully illumined Christ. Remember, Jesus said, do not be alarmed. These things you will do more and better than me. Okay? And that's true. Jesus is true. It's not fact. Okay, if we look for literal fact, the Bible says it in Hebrews, the letter of the word killeth, but the spirit of the word vivifies. And then in Galatians, he says, when the Bible talks about Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar, and her children who are above, and the children of Hagar below, and this is an allegory. Moshe ben Amun, Moses ben Moses, the great Kabbalist of the Middle Ages who lived in Spain, who said, children of Israel, Christians, please, if you read our Torah and you think there is history and fact in there, you are stupid. We clothe our beautiful teachings with a cloak, and you are to unclothe this cloak, and you are supposed to go through the 4 levels of Pradesh, the first level. See, the word paradise has 4 consonants, P-R-D-S, and they are the 4 key words in Kabbalah, in Jewish religion, science, where they teach the first level is literal, Pradesh. I think that's correct. Okay, and then you've got Resh, and then Drash, and then Sud. And Sud is the level that you're getting here with my presentations. It's the anagogic. It's not the allegoric, which will be equated to Resh and Midrash and all of that stuff. When the Jews study Midrash, they're studying the 3rd level. They're not studying Sud, the deepest level. What you're getting from me is you're getting Sud. So it's paradise, Sud. And that's the anagogic level. Ana means fire. You see, and you're getting the baptism of fire. See, the churchgoers, they get a baptism of water, M-I-S-T. But the mystic, M-Y-S-T, that's fire. That's a different element. M-I-S-T, Plato said that's the false baptism. That's the psychic spirituality. It's not the anagogic, the Christ consciousness. It's the false baptism. So you see, most of these Jesuit churches only give you a water baptism. But John the Baptist said, hey, dudes, I only baptize in water. The one coming, he's going to baptize in air and fire. Spirit, he called it, and fire. If you haven't been baptized in fire like in Pentecost, and you haven't got clairvoyance and anagogic insight of the scriptures, and you're still on literal, pradesh, that's for 12-year-olds. That's when you tell children 12 years of age, hey, dudes, you know that Santa Claus story? Well, it's the same as the Jesus story. It's the same as Buddha. It's the same, and it's not real. It's a true story. And this is what it means. You are that little Pinocchio child who tells lies and want to be a real boy one day. Therefore, when you illuminate your pineal occhio, Pinocchio, pineal eye, then you will be real. And so everybody's a Pinocchio. We're sitting around telling lies like the prodigal son, wasting our semen with the prostitutes, drinking wine with the imbibers of intoxicating liquor, and then all of a sudden, bang, we come to our senses and we say, I'm eating the same food as the pigs eat in my father's kingdom. I think I'm going back to my father's kingdom. So like Achilles in his 10-year Odyssean wanderings, finally returns to Penelope, the higher mind. And he shoots the arrow through the eye of the needle, and he conquers and he returns the prodigal son, and he's restored to his former glory, and he's christened and back in his kingdom, and he slays all the suitors, the wannabe pretenders who think that they're just going to pick up Penelope because Achilles has gone wandering. So if you want to be Achilles and you want your Penelope, you see, you have to put that wax in your ears, because the sirens, if you don't tie yourself to the mast of the ship, which is your spinal column, and you don't practice sacred sex because, I want my little, I've been busy for 5 minutes with my woman, I deserve a little treat, I'm just going to have that little ejaculation for 3 seconds, and I'll be very pleased and tired after that, and I'll fall asleep real nice and proper on her. Oh, how romantic. For that little reward, eating from the tree of life, you get shriveled up, wrinkly, and die. Because from the day you eat from that tree, you will positively die. How you live forever is you keep your fluids. So both women and men can practice sex where they don't have to squander that Christic fluid. Because what do the fluids of the body smell like? Fishy to you? Yeah, the fish is the Christ. The oil, is it oily? Is it salty? The salt is the Christ. The oil is the Christ. The fish is the Christ. All of those fluids which bathe your bodies in the cerebrospinal fluids, that's the Christ in you. That's Jesus swimming in your body. It makes your soul. And that's the tree of life, man. You don't want to starve that out. You want to keep those brain fluids, because then you start, having, a good life.
I want to build with you. I want to build with you on that. Yeah, so because I think that I can merge sexual education also with ballet pedagogy. And I'm a lot of aha moments right now. So we had the film Black Swan came out a while ago with Natalie Portman, and it was a ballet, of course, movie, and it was controversial, right? I'll never forget when I went to see the movie. I actually had one of my students. She was there with her mom, and she was underage, like maybe she was 14 years old, right? So, I'm sitting in the cinema at the time with my person I was seeing, and the movie begins and all this stuff comes out. The director of the ballet company says stuff like, would you fuck her? Would you fuck her? There's a lesbian scene. I'm not against, your that, but it was done in a way where it was confusing. She cuts herself and there's bleeding, and then it's basically a satanic ballet movie. Clearly, it's just dark, right? So I'll never forget watching my student, leave that cinema in tears, broken as a dancer, seeing her ballerina star in this movie about ballet, understanding of sexual energy, and how traumatizing that was. And if the mother knew what things really meant, that we could be more versed and do research before we take our children to these movies, which we know that they use movies, drain the energy to get us confused, especially that ballet film, right? And so then now I'm realizing that we also have a dance belt in ballet. Men wear the jock strap, right? The Bible is two bulls, there's two balls. These balls, this jock strap or the chastity belt, right? Where all that energy is. When I was wearing that, I was protecting, in a sense, pedagogy, to protect. And you keep talking and it makes more and more sense to me. The child is, what these metaphors are. And in every single ballet, that theme is there. And that movie specifically traumatized one of my students. And I'll never forget that poor child. And I'm sure even today, she still is traumatized from seeing that film. And it won Oscars and shit. It was called, you know, brilliant because it was on the edge. That's not on the edge, man. That's abuse. That's sexual abuse in a sense. And so then also, when I look at the Ophiuchus constellation, we have the scutum constellation or the scrotum, and then you find the term called coda or chota constellation. The chota is near your groin, right? And I remember hearing these terms when I was younger. So that's the phallus of Osiris, but the phallus relates to us, Isis. It's the man and woman inside that phallic symbol. Used sometimes with the phallus being a man thing. Well, like you said, the one is us. It's together. So to keep it simple, with that jock strap or that dance belt, which makes a T, by the way, for Taurus, which is beautiful. It makes a perfect T for the thong Taurus. The underworld, the lower chakras, all these symbols, they're so important to decode because of what you just said and how vast that is and how hard it is. Once again, so if I'm teaching ballet and I'm saying, hey, your dance belt means this, and look up scotum and scrotum and how it's your ball and how inside of that ball in ballet, we have the Christ, we have the man and the woman swimming together, jump for your grand allegro. How that dance belt, I never saw it that way. It was uncomfortable. It would hold my thing, whatever. Painting. There's a brilliant metaphor in the dance belt or the jockstrap. The energy. It holds it for you and have your balls flying around and you lose your shit everywhere. So I'm just grateful that this is actually now starting to really marinate because as a dance teacher, simply sexual energy. It's the man and the woman dancing together. And if I can find a unique way, obviously I'm starting to get it now, to apply sexual energy with my dance teaching, I think that will severely help the young people today. Because, yeah, it's just all about Nicki Minaj. I mean, I'm teaching at dance studios where you have 8-year-old girls twerking, popping their booties, and they know all the lyrics and bumping and grinding and shit. Trophies, and they go into these damn competitions being sexy, toddlers and tiaras. Once again, the two bulls. So they use force field energy against us constantly, and dancing is a huge vibration. What we were doing in the ancient time, we were dancing and vibrating on Mother Earth, containing it. So once again, I'm having a lot of aha moments tonight, and I want to say thank you because I clearly now know what I need to do, and it's clear. Thank you, Santos.
Mon plaisir.
Yes, I think that Jay mentions you in every little 1-minute videos that he does.
Jay's got a great skill with syncretism. It's just incredible. Noticing words in a very peculiar way. I can see the style coming through. He's got his own style. So it's I hope it just grows and grows and gets more and more popular and out there because it's a really great way to get people thinking, just 3 or 4 little quick thoughts in a 1-minute vid. can change a person's life.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm starting to put some of these videos together for him. We're on 120 now. We've done 120.
Karen, bless you for that. You stay up tirelessly, and you provide a platform, and you know, once again, you have a lot of information, and the fact that you've done that for me, you know, honestly, I just wanted you to put them together for a mix. But then when I thought about it, and you posted it with the music, positive responses, I was like, yeah, let's go for it and promote it, because it's not my information, it's our information. You know, half of my family's on medication, half of my students are on medication, and one time and told me, you know, shit, you know, I'm sorry I didn't come to class because I had suicidal thoughts. I said, listen, sweetheart, relax, it's okay. Today is the point. The fact that you came and you applied yourself. Plie simply means to apply. When you're bending your knee, you're opening yourself. You're opening your consciousness. You're creating the octahedron, the two pyramid diamonds when you bend in ballet. That geometry has to be decoded and explained. I can do that. Matthew can do that. Santos can do that. I can teach that, but it's not my shit, you know. So, to that, and I sent Santos that link, and I'm honored that I've met all of you, that we're here, and that we're doing the work, you know.
I think it's a lot of really intelligent people understanding rather a lot, and came across Matthew, you know, like he was saying the other day, Matthew, I don't really have that many people I can talk to about this, or nobody gets it. And it's finding that bit where all you lot understand each other, even if you're coming in at slightly different angles, and being able to talk a bit about it.
Yeah, yeah, and we're not. Yeah.
This is all happening because you're there and you want to talk, and we get together.
Yeah, I'm on a new thing where I don't feel I have the urge to debate anymore. You know, I watch a lot of, you know, other links, and people are trying to debunk and debunk and debunk. If I can get life-saving information done in 1 minute, right? Well, I'm not bragging. I'm grateful. But if I can do that, I would rather just where I can see all the things that connect me to all these gods and goddesses and all these different cultures quickly. I can move on and let go of my trauma, let go of the abuse I might have gone through, crap that I was told when I was younger, all the medication and all the foods and shit and all these cartoons and rap, all this hip hop talking about trap music. They're trapping us in the ghettos. So stay trapped. It's cool to be trapped and to shoot your brother and your sister. And then to have her in the video, this beautiful energy dancing, but she's twerking. She's jerking her body and doing this whole ritualistic thing, opposite of what hip hop is. I even teach that hip hop is basically electric and magnetic. It's the balance, it's the one and the two. It's all hip hop is. And then that turned into something different. So it's like, it's a snowball, a jambalaya of culture. I have every race in me. Everything is in me. So why am I going to associate with 1, 2, 3, or I'm the original man and the black this and the white that and the I went through racism. I'm done. I'm a being of light. Simple. This little light of mine, you got a solar plexus. Matthew has one. Santos, everyone on this panel. Side, there's your race. I mean, it's simple, and it's so funny how it's easy to forget. You know?
Oh, that was very nicely put there. I don't know what Matthew thinks then coming on. What do you think, Matthew? Is he there?
Well, I don't know. It's a whole lot to take in all at once. I'm trying to honestly. I'm like, I've got my little notepad here, and I'm just jotting things down, and I've got my other cell phone next to me, and I'm sitting here trying to look things up as I'm going, just so I could understand better what everybody's talking about. I don't understand some of the terms and some of the things that they're talking about, so I can't really equate. I'm a very visual learner. I've So like as Ty's talking about ballet stuff like that, I'm trying to, you know, look up the moves and see what I'm trying to look up the different you know, the different things that he's talking about. So that way, you know, I'm like a visual learner, so that way I could understand. And then I'm also trying to find the videos from Santos because I'm really curious about this non-ejaculatory sex. I've never heard of, you know, semen to the brain, anything like that. But uh, I don't know. It's as as weird as it sounds. It seems like a uh, a secret that, you know, people don't normally talk about so much because sex is such a big thing. To me, it's freaking whatever. I'm over it. It's, you know, I'm already young enough, but I'm already over it. It's either I have a, you know, no libido whatsoever, or I've conquered that, you know, little niche that people, you know, unfortunately have to deal with a lot. But I'm trying to figure out what Santos is talking about, because if I'm not going to utilize that particular thing that's wasteful anyways, then I might as well try to figure out a way to make use of me not doing that. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. You know, I'm already not wasting it. Might as well utilize it.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Just to say, FPV's joined us back on the Hangout. Hi, FPV.
Hi, Karen. Hello, everyone. Sorry I had to jump out before. I've got lots of people to say hello to, but I'm back.
My darling. I bet you've been missing the conversation we've had today. It's been a very deep conversation today.
Yeah, I've been flicking back and through. Don't worry. I like to keep an eye on things.
Cool. Anyway, it's 2018 now. Seeing you, was it this year you went before? Anyway, that was a bit of a joke, but yeah, very people have been very quiet.
So this is like the longest hangout you've had. It's lasted over a year.
It's good. Hi, Angel.
It's good.
Jane, you've been very quiet, Angel.
I like to say something. Can you hear me?
Just listening, absorbing stuff like a sponge. But as Santos and the other guys were pointing out, I do believe, as he kind of said, that the whole way that we're taught in most of the religions, and I would like to point out that religions are all ways to divide the faiths, to keep them separated so they can't all unite and share their common things, so they can't put all the pieces together if everyone is deflected in different areas. Kind of like how Matthew was saying, how they took all the sciences and divided them. I want people all getting all the eggs in one basket, because then they'd be able to put 2 and 2 together. But if 2 is over here and 2 is over there, you can't put 2 and 2 together. The other thing is, I really think that these churches like to play word games. And you notice that most of the major religions, they focus on the sun, and they say don't worship the sun, but yet we worship Jesus, the Son of God. And they like to play word games because it's the word that's really more important, not the way it's spelled, the way it's spoken.
I like.
Oh,
I like.
Go on, you did.
Yeah, Yoshua in Hebrew. Jesus in Hebrew, it's Yoshua, and Yoshua is like the Moshiach. It's come to save everything, to save the people, save the nature. Yoshua and Moshe, it's the same. Moshe is come to from Masha. Masha, it's save people. So we are Moshe and we are Yoshua.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I made a connection, you guys. Santos recommended it's a awesome documentary on the secrets of sex. and it breaks down all the Hebrew terms. And I wrote a poem, but is shin in Hebrew is fire, correct? And then behind the shin you have your calf muscle. Taurus is a magnetic energy, so you have this fiery bone, this calf that takes you to ascension. So like what you're saying, all of our body parts in terms of Hebrew or Hindu or anything, or even in Arabic, with these opposing forces, even in your body, to prepare you for something beautiful. It's no coincidence that we have these aggressive sports where you can break your shin, you can sprain things. Injury prevention is also containing sexual energy in a sense, making sense to me. I've torn everything in my body. And I was told by a doctor who was smoking cigars in Switzerland and eating, he had a mansion and $1 million, telling me, oh, your career is over. Your hip is destroyed. He gave me an MRI scan. And then I went to my sacrum and it's sacred. And so doing my own damn research, I'm walking and I'm healed and I can dance again because my body wants to live. We have an immune system. Yeshua, the Yesod, the ninth spheres, your crotch, and the Kabbalah. Yes, Yeshua. It's all about yes. Yes, we can. Well, I'm going to flip that whole term to yes, we are. We have it. We are the ones we're waiting for. It's all in the body. It's incredible.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Can I just say that Flat Fred's been very quiet at the end? Flat Fred, are you still there? He might have fallen asleep. It's quite late here in Flat Fred, are you there? Have you fallen asleep?
Yeah, I'm still here, Karen.
We've gone from Ivy, we've gone through tantric sex, we've gone through all these things. What do you make of this evening then?
It's great. So it's good to be on panel with Santos. I like Jay's stuff. I like the sound of his stuff. Always good with Angel.
Thank you.
FPV, always a pleasure. And Judith, I love when she talks. She doesn't talk enough.
Thank you.
It's true.
She does occasionally.
Yeah, but
she's been on a few other hangouts lately. You haven't mentioned Matthew.
Yeah, Matthew. Yeah, I say I haven't. I see some Matthew stuff. Yes, was it yesterday? Or was it yesterday or the day before? And I was really into it because he's right into his magnetism stuff. And I'm into all that magnetism, magnetic realm, female, male, positive, negative. Relationships are really hard, aren't they? Yeah, it's positive, negative. You got to find that balance.
Opposites attract. It's all there.
Unfortunately, I've just.
I was going to say that. Judith has some really amazing videos of Venus, and my thesis is about that, and I just wanted to shout Judith out. As you check out her YouTube, she's got this incredible. Whatever they're showing us is complete bullshit, but this Judith stuff that she has, it's the dodecahedron. I can see everything that I've actually been talking about. I haven't seen it really until I saw her videos, and she plays beautiful music, and it's this glowing energy of light, different lights, constantly moving, and it's like, wow. It reminds me of a kaleidoscope, the different and diverse ways that you can sort of manipulate energies, and it's doing it by itself, but it's doing it in all of our birth charts 24 hours a day. It's wow. Just amazing.
Thank you.
I want to find the video of there's this guy, he built a customized telescope, and he took a video of the telescope as he was zooming in on the stars, and he zoomed in so much on these stars, and he actually was able to focus to the point that you saw the geometric shapes inside the stars, and the geometric shapes started to actually move. and transform into different shapes. Like it would start off as like a line, and the next thing you know, it was like a cube, and then all of a sudden there was like this triangle, and then all of a sudden there was like, and then it just and there was colorful to it. It looked like rainbowy, disco like kind of like a water or like a light at the bottom of a pool, but like just bunch of lights, you know, and it just kept like kind of flickering. It was really, really nice. I want to find that video again and see if I could find it. He showed a bunch of different stars. Some of them like changed into different shapes. Some of them went from like bright to dim to bright to large to small, and it was intense. So to me, that helps. That to me almost concretes the fact that there's water out there and that some kind of luminescence is happening, and either it's sonoluminescence or it's electrochemiluminescence. And I say that because there was I think it was Picard's son, August Picard's son. He went to the bottom of the trench, Mariana Trench, and he saw like this lake that was down there, and it looked like it had a beach of its own. And whatever animal went into it died, right? So I'm thinking that must be an area where it's possible that that's the waters beyond. You know, it's beyond us because he couldn't penetrate it. The submarine just bounced off it, and it was also a salty solution that they got a sample out of it. And when I was looking into it, I found a solution. It's called like Clarice solution, and it's the most saltiest, most dense solution in the entire water-based solution in the world, and it's poisonous even to the touch. It's thallium-based. So I'm thinking, if it's possible, what if the outside, you know, waters were this Clarice solution or something along those lines because of the density, the saltiness, and the toxicity. But when you use electrochemiluminescence to induce a plasma-like glow, and then you get the energies, the electromagnetic field energies around that glow, maybe that could explain stars and the movement of, you know, the celestial bodies and stuff.
I've got a little theory. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed. When the stars only come out as the sun disappears, right? And then when the sun's completely gone, then the stars are really bright in the sky. And the same thing happens. It's funny, mental, really. Is when it rains on your windows, and it's dark at night, and if you move the light from a street light, can cause the same effect as starlight thing. And I've noticed the stars only come out as the sun goes. Thing as the sun's gone, as the light's traveling away, some sort of backlight comes for the stars. And it's just, I've seen it on a window when it rains at night time. Look on your window. It's the same. You move. It's the same thing as the stars twinkling. The twinkle. It's the same thing. It's some sort of moisture. It's got to be some sort of moisture and light together up there. Whatever it is. It's beautiful. Whatever it is.
And they're not very far away either. Well, some of them aren't very far away, and most of them aren't even that far away.
It's a fantastic light show, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a rippling going on.
Actually, now I think it's a map of the underworld. That's what I'm thinking now. What we're seeing in the heavens, it's a map of what's below.
Well, I've got
I believe the star. Bro, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Matthew. I've got Orion in my view at the minute. And I tell you what, I've never took so much notice of it. You know, sticks out like a sore thumb.
No, I was gonna say, I believe the movement of the celestial bodies is because of the toroidal field that surrounds the Earth, the energy field. It's causing, you know, a torrent in the waters all around. and that torrent is catching these lights or whatever within it, and that's why you have the wandering lights or whatever. That's my guess, at least, as far as why we
My
have some of
guess,
these.
my guess is they're all following electromagnetic halo paths. That's where my research is finding out now. It's all electromagnetic halos, projections from below.
Yeah, and that's why they can't get out, Effie. That's why they can't get out of up there. That's why nobody can get out.
Yeah, they got no chance. They'll get electrocuted.
It's impossible.
They'll get electrocuted.
Yeah, when I solar gaze and I see the sun. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So they're trying to get up through. We're on the plane of inertia to get up through it, knowing that they can't even get up through it, and then the show starts, and that's the show. But the thing is, you can't see it, and only since I've got into flat Earth and got to start researching that I understand that it's inertia, and what's above us is impossible to get out. Possible. The only way we're getting through there is in the next realm.
Yeah,
simple.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. To me, it's an electromagnetic field above us. What you might want to call your dome, and there's multiple layers of them. You know, there's not just the first layer. We're seeing the sun and the moon navigate around these halos, and this is just the first tier. There's multiple tiers up there, and I've been going through various scriptures trying to work out just how many. The Mayans, they believe there's about 13 layers, and come noon, the sun's climbed up to the maximum layer, and then it comes back down again. So, I've been researching what the Mayans and the Vedic believe in, and I can actually demonstrate what they believe in on the grid I'm using now.
Cool. When I'm solar gazing, I see this. The sun is making these rings, and I can see the rings slowly moving towards me. Like it's the rays are. I can see the torus fields. I can see each ring and level. It's a bit subtle. When you focus on it a certain way, there these you can see it. It's like this liquidy circular motion, and then it has me thinking about the African women who wear those rings around their necks. So there's so many things and symbols of this science. So many beautiful cultures that they wear it or they embody it. Yeah, it's just as you guys are talking, I just had that epiphany. Seriously, just from what y'all just said, this visual thing. Like Matthew, I'm also very visual, and you actually gave me an idea. I should probably do a presentation where I'm drawing the ballet terms. So I was on a board. I'm gonna get to that point at some point for sure, and just have I can like just write the terms and stuff like that.
Well, I've got journals upon journals upon journals of writing, and my whiteboard sits next to me at all times, and I'm constantly taking. So I've got like hundreds of pictures in my phone of just different things I've drawn up on my whiteboard. I'm always constantly writing everything down just in case I need to refer back to it, or I like to look back at some of my old work and realize like, wow, I was kind of far off on that one right there, but I want to get even further, I want to keep going. I don't want to stop. I want to, figure it all out. That's why else are we here except for to sit here and figure everything out? I mean, like God, the ultimate source, what are you going to do when you're absolutely everywhere and anywhere and you're absolutely all knowing, so what are you going to do, for fun? What is exciting? What are you going to do? You create, so you create something and then you instill free will. So now you've got a creation with free will, and now you've got some surprises around the corner. You're omnipotent, whatnot. So you've got just this one little creation. So, what if it's possible that, instead, because this is the source we're talking about, and, just this one little creation, how could it, really, make fun for the creator? So the different dimensions come in. You got the seen world and the unseen world, and whatever else that we don't know about. We don't know, but that's a good way to think about why things happen the way they happen. I mean, of course, you don't want to sit here and be like, well, we're just a movie for the creator. Well, what else are we? I mean, what else could we be but just, entertainment for the creator? Because, like I said, in the mind of the creator, if you were to try to put yourself there, what are you going to do if you're all knowing, if you're everywhere, can do anything, be anywhere, all of that all in one, and there's no surprise, there's no mystery, no curiosity. You can't spend eternity trying to learn anything. You can't spend eternity trying to build anything because you are everything. So what are you going to do? You're going to create something and instill free will. Free will meaning we actually create our own destiny, and as we create our own destiny, yeah, God is like I was talking to a buddy like this, and the way he was explaining it kind of resonated. He was like, the source is kind of like the one that created the program, and then the creator is like the one that's like all the the pieces all up in the program, and then we've got us that play the game, and it just kind of plays out, and the creator is pretty much up there, and he gave us free will, so that way he'd be at least entertained. At least this is one side, philosophical way to, think about it and look at it. I can't stress enough the fact of trying to, put your own mind in the creator and being all omnipotent and everything. And like, what are you going to do for creation? Well, free will. That's the only answer I could come up with. And free will is basically your own destiny. So to me, I don't think that, our destinies are pre-written. I really do believe that we make them. But at the same time, if we do make our own destinies, then it's absolutely possible, the way that time works, that there's a future possibility for every single choice that you can make. Whether or not each and every single possibility actually plays out, or if time just slowly, if time is all expansive, and then as you make your choices, time, kind of moves in the direction that, it would have with you making that choice in reality, rather than the other choice, which would have made you move in a different direction in time. So.
Well said. You just gave me some aha moments. Again, this y'all are so brilliant.
Nice.
This makes us each better. It's like Voltron and shit. But we have a famous ballet called Giselle. Giselle means to escape. Sorry, pardon me, to be trapped, to be held hostage. When you look at the word Giselle, échappé, right? So simple. I mean, the story is about this woman gets her heart broken by this man who comes into her town, and he lies about being married to somebody else. And then you get this character called Hilarion, an ascended master who represents the fifth chakra. The fifth green ray of Venus, or the sixth chakra. He represents truth and science. And simply, these individuals, these characters are put into these dances in the universe, and these orbs are playing games. They're playing with each other around the issue. They're trapping, and they're escaping, and they're freeing each other, and then they're all the games we do, hopscotch down here. Double Dutch. For God's sake, you have two girls in the middle of these two ropes. Waves, man. Black girls kick ass at that. You see them in the ghettos, double dutching and at amazing speeds and doing tricks we're doing as a dancer. This is all metaphors. And then we talk about choreograph. Well, Rio is the sun, Rio. And then the graph, all graphs are made on a board, on a flat. And here I'm choreographing as the sun arcs over this graph. It's us, and we're all being played with in a sense, and to figure this shit out, man. We're trying to escape our ignorance, a lot of things in a sense,
Beautiful. Matitiao, yes?
Sorry, say that again.
Yeah, I like to answer Matitiao. Matt?
Matthew.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's happened when you know everything?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like when you know everything,
yeah,
and there's nothing else to know, and you're just there's nothing else. That's the point where that I think that's the point where you're, that's like God, you know everything. There's no surprises. There's no nothing. You don't have to assume anything. There's nothing to learn. So what do? You create something that you may not know. So that way you've got something that's going to stimulate your knowledge, stimulate your existence. That way you're not just existing, you could actually be.
Yes, be. And this situation that when you are be, you are unconditioned love. Like Santos, he is unconditioned love to everybody. That's what makes you become like this. Be. It's like God. Yes, you see everything, you feel everything, but you don't know because you let all the hard people show you what they can do. So you don't know everything. You see, you wait.
I'm talking more along the lines of like God, and then there's the source.
Yeah. 1 minute, I finished. You like the father who watch the children, and you want them to show you what they can do. What they can do with this creation. You see, this is the position of to be watching everything.
Yeah, I don't think he was saying that he thought he was God or anything like that, or the fact that he thought that he knew everything. He was just explaining that to know everything would be God.
We are, yes, we are.
Yeah, no, like way before when I was saying that, I was saying like if you try to put yourself in not God's place, the source's place, because the source to me is where God the creator came from. Because if you think about it, even in Christian belief system, it says the Father is eternal. He has no beginning, has no end, always is, was, and will be. Whereas Jesus, saying that Jesus was the creator, always created through him, right? Well, he says, I am the beginning and the end, meaning the creator had a beginning and an end, whereas the source, the Father, is all eternal, always is, was, and will be. So to me, if you're the source, what do you do? If you're eternal, meaning it always is, always was, always will be, and you're all omnipotent. Being perfect and being unconditional love has nothing to do with it. It's just, you just exist. You just are, and everything that you are is. So if there's nothing else to that, what do? You create something and go with free will. So the creator came from the source. And this is my theory. This is not what I'm trying to push, but just, to me, the creator God, whether it be, whether you want to call them Enki or Jesus or, what have you, the creator God is the one, man, I just completely lost my train of thought. Like completely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he's the one that creates the story. He basically, you got the source created the creator God, so that way the creator God can create the story. Not the source create the story, but so the creator God can create the story, so that way the source can see it play out or know it play out or anything, as far as, well, that's why free will was extended. Because free will, means that you make your own choice, whether you can choose good or you can choose bad. But your choice has consequences. That's what God basically said when he gave Satan, the material world. And I'm basically just focusing on this one religion because it's the one that I know best, being the one that I, studied the most. And I've just recently gotten into like really hardcore studying the other religions, so I can't really quote them too much in fear of disrespecting them, which I don't want to do. So knowing my own religion, I could just quote on that saying, there's a lot of things going on in there where it suggests that, the source, being the Father, the eternal one, created the creator God, who created the story, which the story is now being played out through free will for us. And then here and there, you've got divine intervention, and then you don't have it. And, then there's the evil stuff that happens, and then there's the good stuff that happens. And in the end, it's all supposed to be, wrapped up so that way we could just enjoy an eternal existence without all the evil and everything. And I believe that the purpose to that is because the creator has created the story. The creator wants us to our souls and our consciousness to mature the beings that we were created to be, you know. And I believe that, you know, God being who he was, he created other beings in order and gave us, you know, part of him, saying, and, you know, in several places in the Bible, it says that ye are gods in the grace of God, and we were given the spirit of God. So ye are God. So I believe that our spirit and our consciousness was really here, and we're in the material world in order to mature, in order to, you know, be able to handle the next level of existence when we move on, you know. And then
Well,
behind that,
actually,
when it
I'm
comes
gonna.
to, you know, everything else, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I got a half an hour left to sort of bring in this 2018 with my family. I think they're downstairs, but I'm gonna say this because you said story, and this is a really good place for me to sign it off. And for Taurus is toy, and then when you look up toy, it relates to trachea, and Taurus rules the throat. So the Disney movie Toy Story is basically tell your story, use your trachea, use your bulls, use your voice. We each have a unique trachea or toy, or a way to give force with these words, these Taurus fields. These words are containers and they can change things. I'm seeing it in my social media activity. I'm seeing it through meeting with Santos. He did not have to respond to my email from 2 years ago. And he responded and it blew me away because I'm like, holy shit, wow, it is working. The energy. I opened my mouth and I said the words. And so, every one of y'all, 2018, Happy New Year to you. Tell your toy story, use your Taurus fields, love each other, and let's just keep and let's get ourselves out of this hellhole shit and fuck Disney.
Right. Right. Thank you.
And yeah,
Jay.
I'm gonna.
I've
Thank
spoken a
you.
lot to
Thank
Jay
you.
last week, haven't I, Jay?
Yes, you and I have a lot in common actually, and a lot of things that we can relate to, and experiencing certain things in life, like trauma, the good and the bad. When we talk about the pain, we get the pus out, and then when the pus comes out, we start to really heal. I'm not interested in how much truth anybody really knows. First, have you dealt with your pain and your trauma? Do you know right from wrong? Mark Passio, who talks about right and wrong behavior. Are you complying with orders? Are you just following orders and saying, well, I'm a police officer, beat the shit out of you? No, right and wrong behavior. Like when I'm at university, I don't care about your doctorate or your PhD. This is incorrect to me, and it has traumatized me as a scholar. This is knowing right from wrong behavior. You know what I'm saying? So really what communication is, and our voices do that, and Taurus fields can change the world. And so before I once again sign off, I have to hear from my man Santos. So Santos, I'm going to say I love you and happy 2018. Holla at me.
Santos, are you there?
Yep. Likewise.
Okay.
Same, brother.
Fantastic. Thank you, man. Thank you very much. And thank you to the whole panel, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you all very soon.
Oh, bless you, and big flat earth hugs for you.
Thank you. Thanks to one and all. I'm peacing out.
Big hugs. Thank you so much, Jay.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye. Nice to talk with you.
Thank you.
See you, Jay.
Yeah,
Bye,
you
mate.
too. I don't know. I don't see my logo, so if I don't hang up the right way, I'm just going to turn my phone off or some shit.
Yeah, I think he's going now. Oh, is he still there? Yeah, this has been an amazing evening. We've covered masses of stuff. Yeah, who wants to talk now?
I could show you some of the work I've been doing, but I'd rather wait. I'm uploading one now to my channel, and I've got, I can show you some more updates to what I've been doing and show you some correlation of various scriptures that relate to the grid I'm working on. But yeah, I'll wait till I've uploaded it, Karen. It's probably only about halfway uploaded. Then you'll be able to see it better all in one.
You always do that. You're on a hangout or waiting to go on a hangout and you're uploading something, FPV.
And
What happens when you're on a hangout?
crappy internet, a really bad upload speed. It does take a bit of time.
Yeah, and you know what happens when you're on a hangout and you're trying to upload something? It takes forever.
I'll show you the quick. I'll show you the quick image. Hold on. Can you present me, Karen?
Okay. Sure. Okay, we can see that.
Yeah, what you're looking at there is the 9 primary deities from the main faith. You can see the 9 are highlighted around the central piece. And then when you add the wives, sons, daughters, husbands, etc., you get the 33. Now, you should know the 33 from the Christian number system. I'm showing you how all these different religions are pointing to the same thing, and this is the central part of the grid we're working with. You see the correlation going on here?
Right. Explain a bit more, FPV.
Right, yeah, what you're looking at there is, if you can see my, hold on, the mouse on so you can see it. You can see my mouse there, yeah?
Yeah. Where?
Right.
Where?
What you're going to find is, well, the religions I've been looking at anyway, they've got like 9 primaries, 9 primary deities they seem to favour, and then you've got all these secondaries come from them. Well, if you look at this grid, the 9 primaries are 2 on the square here, say, and the 1 central. The 1 central is what you'd call creator, and it is what's running these ones, which in turn are connecting to these ones. These are what are projecting the halos into the sky of the world. Right there is 0.0 on the world map. On the map we're using, Africa would be roughly where my mouse is. And then you've got the portals in the corners, referenced by the Book of Enoch. This corner here, top left, that's Alaska. Top right is northeast Russia. And then you've got the 2 corners down here on Antarctica. New Zealand being over here, and Australia and such. So you've seen the correlation of what they're all talking about. They're all describing the same thing. This is where the angels exist. It's pinpointing the locations on the world map. These, and the 33 central ones. So you see the correlation where I'm coming from now, yeah?
So basically, FPV, those are all the suns we see.
They're the angels, or the deities, or the gods, or whatever you want to call them. This is in the underworld, below ground. The heart of the machine is the one at the center that's running the rest. And this is everything this is running the light show in the sky. All these halos you see here are projected into the sky. We don't see them unless there's barium in the sky. But they are showing up, you know. People's recording them. And you'll always catch the sun going round one. Or the moon, you know. And that's got to be said now the same for all the other celestial bodies there. The main faith says there's 266 deities. So, you know, there's 266 to plot onto this grid. You know, I've told you before, there's lots in between what you can't see here. And that's what we've been trying to kind of plot on the world map now. I could show you the world map and start pointing places out, but there's that many in this blank space here. You know, it's pointless just trying to put them on the map. We just know that there's hundreds of them. And the sun and moon are using these to navigate around. This and the grid that's also below. Won't be called Solomon's Temple. That's your, you know, the one I'm using from the Nazca lines, the Sun Star of Peru. That's basically your ley lines. And they, you know, they're also below. So this is the underworld. This is what's down below. And on the main, the mains, I believe, there's six rooms, which, if you remember the 6-tier pyramid I was using, they're both describing exactly the same thing. A 6-tier pyramid below us. This is the underworld. Now, if you think about fallen angels, Satan was getting too powerful, so he was cast into the abyss. Basically, what it's telling you, technology was interfering with the rest, so they moved it down to one of the lower levels. The 6th tier at the bottom is where that's a bit too powerful. It's interfering with these other ones, so they had to relocate them. 6th tier pyramid.
Well, I think that Matthew wanted to say something. Matthew?
So that's what you would. That's why they're called the fallen angels. They've moved them down to the bottom of that 6th-tier pyramid that's below us.
They've moved it. What do you mean? It's been done like by us?
Refresh you.
It's done by humans.
Well, it doesn't say who. I don't know the who. I just know I'm just decoding what they're telling you into what I'm looking at with this technology and how it's operating down below ground.
Where did you get all this from?
So I originally started with an ASCII lines and started overlaying certain mandalas with world maps until I found the correct map and it started making sense. And then the researchers branched off from there, breaking down how that works. I've told you before, Matthew, CERN is a reverse engineered angel. These are what we call angels. Others call them gods, whatever you want to call them, pick a name. You know, these names and titles change over time. But this technology keeps doing what it was intended to do. It's a technological masterpiece below ground, projecting into the heavens, halos, that's controlling weather, light. You know, you've got an origin for lightning now, it's coming off these halos in the sky. Yeah, they generate the winds, it's the flower of light, it's the Fibonacci sequence. This is where it's coming from, this technology. These are the toroidal fields, and there's many of them. Is basically lots of halos multi-layered. That's why they can't get into space. You know, we've debunked zero gravity. So as yourself, it's holding the moon, the sun and the moon, and the luminaries in the sky. It's technology. They're following these halos around the sky. This is how it works. And this is what I'm finding various scriptures are describing. The further back you go, the more it makes sense, because translations in modern times. So the further you go back and start considering technology they're describing, the CERN, and bingo, you've got lights in the world involved in CERN technology. In particles, isn't it? But technically they're not lying, they are particle accelerators. They're part of the, when these work in harmony with each other, 7 gods, when 7 of these work together, they actually create from elements, you know, creating matter from elements, not thin air. This is how it works. This is what produces landmass. The world's expanding and it gets 20 millimeters per year. And it's due to this technology. This is what it's designed to do. And that's just many functions. And winds. Lighting, you know, this is when you think of the pyramids, the pyramid below one of these halos, and the energy, that rotating toroidal field flowing upwards, you must be harnessing it in some way. Now, I've been thinking lately on a grander scale, how do you scale that up? Simple. You build millions of homes and plug them into the same grid, and on your electricity meter. I think we're actually feeding the grid.
It's new information for some people, though, even watching today. But obviously, we've been following that quite a while, hasn't it? Really.
So I'm going to follow that, but I recommend you watch the few videos that we've made on this research and try and get yourself up to speed, because this is what's going on. You know, you can't debunk this. All the scriptures pointing to the same thing, and it is this.
It's
like I say, with there's video proofs of these halos in the sky. They're everywhere. Dogs, you know, that's the fob off name, sun dog. It's not a sun dog. It's a halo. And you'll actually see nodes on the halo. You know, you go and look at Cern's core below ground, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It is one of these. Guys, you got to consider technology, or you're never going to.
It reminds me the cube that Santos bring the last time. It look the same, Santos.
What do you mean? What do you mean you did?
You remember with Blue, Santos bring a cube, very interesting cube, inside the cube with a cartoon. He show us. Santos bring a cartoon. It's a cube inside the cube. He show us in the last handout.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's the model. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's exactly what it's like. Yeah, it's correct.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
There's an upper, a lower, and the world. You know, the world we stand upon. The Mayans call it a three-tiered kind of system. You got the heavens, the underworld, and what they call the concrete world where humans live. So it's like a three-tier system the Mayans believed in. So yeah, it's 100% correct. It is. You can't debunk this. Hold on, I'll show you the world map now with those halo projections on.
So I just unpresented you. I'll just present you back up then. You're showing us FPV.
There. So yeah, there's your 33 around the centre. You know, the centre one's being the Garden of Eden. That's the Garden of Eden right in the centre. Whatever it is, it's below ground at that location. One's Antarctica and Alaska and northeast Russia. Plus all the ones in between these halos. Now the grid you can see there. What I've overlaid here is two mandalas from Nazca, Peru. The 12 by 12 grid is what's called the Sun Star of Peru, and the internal 8 by 8 grid is the Nazca mandala. Yeah, go ahead, mate. Go on.
Well, I was going to ask if I could play devil's advocate. What would happen if you put that same pattern, but instead of using the what it looks like you're using the prime meridian, which we currently use, which goes through the British Observatory over there in London. What if you used the Giza Pyramid, which I honestly believe the true center of the planetary map, as the center? How would it come up then?
I did try it, yeah, but I was finding it was these, you know, these outer larger halos that you can see. These are what we call the tropics, so these need to be lined up as well.
So they do line up
the land masses.
Physical effects on the surface of it.
Oh yeah, even the grid in the background. You're gonna Arties that works that does research on it.
I don't really believe that the prime meridian that we currently use is the most accurate prime meridian. I believe it was placed there because those nice people over there in London, nothing against people in the UK, but since they were the head of the astrological observatory over there in London, they wanted their math to be the 0 point, when I think it was put there because of their ego, not because it being the best location to actually start from. But if it fits, if your model fits, then I can't really argue with it.
I've checked it with various other things as well, mind being the centre of the world. I'll go through a few if you want. Google Earth's own is at that location. Steve's map also is at that location. This grid fits perfectly when you overlay the tropics with the land masses.
If it fits, I'm not here to break it. So,
yeah, and I did find another one, mind, that said the centre of the world, which rests beside, and it named some place that I didn't recognise, and it said it resembled a couch. We put Africa on its side; it resembles a couch, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But not only that, guys. Now then, the four rivers. The four rivers are the 4 points that's leading to the centre of that. It's not water they're talking about. This field. That is your centre point. Now, a lot of people on certain other maps pole in the center. Well, I think that's come from a globe perspective. It is off pole, yeah, and it's up there in Greenland. I think that's why they obscure it on the map. You can't really make it out on the map. You can see a lot going on in Greenland.
The Stan Tenen you were talking about earlier, it's T-E-N-E-N is how to spell his name, right?
Which is that, Angel?
The one, was it you that was talking about the Stan Tenen?
Yeah, that's the right spelling. Yep, Stan Tenen.
Okay.
Dance of the Hebrew.
Does he have his own channel? Because I see a bunch of videos of him that are referenced by many other people's channels.
I don't think so, actually. He's not very...
okay, then I'll just watch some of these other videos that I stumbled across. I just want to make sure I had the right guy.
Yep.
Santos, what do you...
any more questions on that?
When you're listening to FPV, what do you think of his work then?
Yeah, well, he's showing the correlation with the energy lines and nature. I mean, this is going to be a pointer to how, you know, it's going to point us in the right direction. That's for sure. So I'm enjoying it as it evolves. I've been watching it and thoroughly enjoying it. I like it.
I'm glad you mentioned Brahma as well, Santos. You know, I've been looking into that, and then I went through a lot of the Vedic scripture, and that, you know, I'm coming to the same conclusions, you know, exactly as you did. You obviously seen all this yourself a long time ago, and you know, I've found it a different way, and then luckily meeting you, it made even more sense what you're describing. So yeah, it's a good what you call syncretism, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. What you've got there is a whole series of mandalas which are spread through the torus field, which will be the all-encompassing material part of the cosmos. Whereas I believe that the cube, the hypercube, or the tesseract structure is in counter space somehow. So there's more, you know, there's probably a cube with a hypercube, like and a torus field with a hypertorus sort of thing nested within each other. So when different theologies have their own explanations for the cosmos, I think they're all correct. I believe that once upon a time there was no need for anything about cosmology to be written, because the written form is definitely inferior to the knowledge form. You know, writing is just inferior. So there was a time when it wasn't written. The reason it was written was to protect it, because man foreknew that consciousness was just going to be wiped. It was just going to suffer so badly that humans would not be able to understand any of what the ancients' technology meant. So we find that the big lie is, and it's only a recent lie, and it's a Jesuit lie, is that all of this is mythology, it's crazy talk. If it's not that, it's pseudoscience, it's just hocus pocus. And we have been trained really, really deeply, it's deeply ingrained, to minimize writings, you know, especially sacred writings, to really limit them and reduce them to nothing, so that there's no truth in them at all, you know. And this is deliberate, because as the consciousness descended, the schools then started specializing, and so they would specialize in one field. So Christianity probably saw the cosmos as a cross, hence their buildings are always cathedrals. And they believed that man is the measure of the universe, which was taught to them by the Egyptians, which were the first Christians that we know of in this particular timeline. Going back thousands of years, Christianity was practiced in Egypt for eons of time. I can prove that, and I have. I've proven it beyond any doubt. There's no doubt. Egypt is the home of Christianity, so is India. But it's homed everywhere. It's all Christianity. People just call it by different names. So specializations developed, you know, and that was a good thing in the end, because now we can syncretize it all back up again, you know. But they're all talking about the same thing, how the cosmos is made. It's made by God, the demiurge, Brahma, the breather, and he's using sonoluminescence, and sonoluminescence has patterns. There's the flower of life, there's the Metatron's cube, there's the Matrona, there's Merkaba vehicles there's mandalas, torus fields, tesseracts, and they're all just dancing together, the cube and the sphere, the cube and the sphere, and the disc. See, Walter Russell was so good. He was always raving on about the cube and the sphere. Cubes, incandescent spheres bounded by cold cubes. And he was right. But you know what? He was a globie, and he didn't understand that there's another shape. It's the disc. It's the mandala. He's totally neglected one of God's precious, precious forms. And that is the disc that he was living on, thinking that he was orbiting. The guy was totally a globie. Oh, on steroids. He loved the ball. But it's the disc. The disc. That's the one that people are eluding people. And it's what's the disc? Well, it's not necessarily a circle. It doesn't have to be a circle. But it's the plane. It's the dielectric plane. It can be rectangular. It can be square. In fact, it's all of those things, you know. I can see it with my mind's eye. So it shouldn't be hard to do. And what FPV's stuff is doing is making us see the cosmos with one eye, you know, the third eye, to visualize this energy grid, because it's like Matthew said, it's Birkeland currents, it's tunnels, and those tunnels of energy, those currents, those are like synapses and dendrites in our brains, interconnecting energy, electromagnetic energy. And it's all, the structure that we see is really, you can call it an illusion. It's because it's not, you know, it's not real in the sense that it's temporal. That's all. But it is real. And but the thing with it is that people see that as the cause of everything. It's not. The material universe is the effect of everything. It's only an effect, a real effect, a temporal real effect. Therefore, true philosophers, the true ones, they don't buy into it. You know, they don't spend their resources in that world. We are not of the world. We're in the world, but we are not of it. So we're not the same as the people of the world. Our intelligence is totally different. It's more intuitive and natural. Theirs is articulated and academic, conventional. It's herd mind. We think for ourselves. We are in the able mind. They are in the Canaanite, because they can. People who can, you know, they go out and do things. People who are able, they be things. To do is to be. And so that's why Cain keeps killing Abel. Because he can, but he's not able.
Santos,
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could possibly touch on the dielectric magnetic properties of electromagnetism. I'm really curious to hear your full spectrum, thoughts on that. So that way, because I'm really trying to get it, straightened down. I really felt like I had a pretty good hard hold on it by looking at a few different people. I mean, not just Ken Wheeler and scientifically, but also, J.J. Thompson and Eric Dollard, Tesla and Roger Boscovich, Steinmetz and Heaviside. I tried to look up a lot of different kinds of people and, even Hutchinson and stuff. And it seemed like I had it pretty hardcore on touch. So if you could go ahead and let me get a good, heavy dose of what you got going on as far as those three particular modalities, I'd be, pretty happy.
Angela?
Hang on a second. Sorry. We'll say what you want to say, but I think that Matthew was asking.
So
Hello,
pure
hello?
energy.
Hello. Yeah.
So pure energy, it is energy that doesn't degenerate. It's the transverse wave decays. Okay, like radio waves. We know that. You just get a radio as you travel far from your town. You're leaving Los Angeles, your favorite station. By the time you get to Santa Barbara, no signal, right? So that's the transverse wave, and it only operates in the material world through the air element, you see. And the ether is the fifth element. It's where light, well, that's the medium for light, you see. And that's the field for light. God is light, but God is light being. Light doing is illumination. So illumination is what does. Light is what it is. So that's God's field. That's his field through which he experiences the material world, you see. So just put a W in front of the word ether and you've got the word weather. Excuse me. Youch. Weather. So ether and weather, you see, because it is the ether that is turning over the stationary Earth. So the stationary Earth would be the dielectric inertial plane. If you were to say, let's make the Earth like a ring magnet, like in Ken Wheeler's videos, you would have the South Pole on the outside, and that would be redshift. And correctly, as he says, the North Pole is the South Pole in reality, and he's correct. So that would make the North Pole, the center, would be blue shift, which is compression, which is how he gets better results with growing his seeds. He always points his magnets to so-called blue shift, the blue shift side, which is the South Pole of magnets. Okay, so, but it's flipped. The North Pole is the South Pole, as Ken Wheeler teaches. So the North Pole in the center, that's actually the South Pole, and that's where blue shift is, hence the aurora borealis, etc., right? So this is just a model to explain dielectricity and magnetism and electricity. So magnetism, in the center of the Earth, of the torus field, will be where the creation, the source of this torus field's creative energy comes from, the North Pole. And this is going upward what they would call Mount Meru, which would be akin to the hyperboloid, which is the inverse of the spherical torus field universe we live in. And so the magnetism is, according to guys like Ken Wheeler, time and space. And that's very telling. Magnetism is time and space. And this is what a lot of people call God, time and space. And so the magnetic wave produces wavelength with electricity and wave amplitude. And this is time, wavelength, space, wave amplitude. And so those are the three modalities. So when at the center of that counterspatial incommensurable point, where is the center of all magnets, for instance, right? That point there, which has no topos, no locos, but it's there. From there is what happens is the inertial black accelerating light of dielectricity is interacting with the principle of force and motion, which is magnetism, and this is what's called abrasion, abraxas, abrasion. And it's from this abra, this root of abra, which comes creation. In fact, that's the first word in the Bible, is bara, which is abra. And then, because it means to open, and it's that central point of the hyperboloid where energy comes from, which is abra. And this is Brahma as well, you see. Breathe means brathios, Brahma God, you see, because we know he breathes out. It's a breath. So what you're looking at in nature is not particle wave duality universe. It's a pulse wave duality, if you want to call it a duality. But along the dielectric longitudinal field is an energy which does not decay, and it's pure. It doesn't vibrate. Its child is a hybrid called electricity, red and blue shift. It decays. Everything that partakes of the red and blue world, you know, the red pill, blue pill world, it decays. It's temporal. That's the lesson. This is in all our theologies. You can't escape it. You cannot escape it. It's right there. And so the earth is an anagram for ether. Earther, ether. And then just with the W, you've got weather. Because the weather, in all five elements, ether, fire, air, water, and earth, all of the field dynamics are the same. In each one of those elements, you will see toruses, hyperboloids. In water, you call them whirlpools. In the air, you call them tornadoes. In the fire, you call them an inferno. You know, in the earth, you call them magma and volcanoes. Look at the volcanoes; they're just vortexes. They're just inverse of a vortex, or one half of a vortex, I should say. So even the earth element displays the same field mechanics. So it's all vortexia. It's all abrasion, abracadabra, abraxas, Abraham, Brahma. And so that's what FPV's work's doing. It's showing that breath, how the breath works through the energy grids. It's all about energy and Birkeland currents and how toruses nest in with other toruses, because all is atom, you see. So elements of hydrogen, they have to learn how to mix with nitrogen and oxygen and carbon to make human bodies. And they do. Their torus fields are totally compatible. And when they combine, they make molecules etc., etc. You know, do not put your children through the fires of molecules. And so this molecular body that we have is made of anatomies, you see, and it's a twin. It's a twin. That's why we are all Thomas. We are all Adam. Adam means twin. It means red, because one twin is red, the other one is blue. Yeah. I think I've said enough.
Yeah, you give it the words I can't, Santos. You give it the words I can't, mate. You really do. Yeah, don't worry though. I'm still learning. I'm searching. I'm researching. I'm always researching. It's just such a big picture to look at. And taking it all in and putting it into words and video is something else. But we're getting there. You know, it's looking good.
Yeah, I think a few of our researchers or the people around have found it like maybe a bit more difficult to put everything they know into words. Sometimes
it's big bag red pills. It's not easy to swallow.
Matthew, what do you think of FPV's work there that he's showing you?
Well, I'm definitely seeing the magnetic and electric ley line, you know, the layout or the fields with the ley lines and everything. So that actually matches up perfectly with some of my work that I've got right here. If my stinking camera would work, I'd show you guys, but it's not. But yeah, the dielectric field and the magnetic field, you can see, you know, one is convergent, one's divergent, and that's I like his work, and I'm gonna keep looking into it too. My head's
Just
going like 100 right now.
Just to add to that, guys, there is a researcher joined us that looks into earthquake pressure data, and she's now applying her work to this grid, and she's found it does track it perfectly. Because what my suspicion is, when we get earthquakes, this is certain bits of technology switching on and switching off, and this is what's rerouting the sun and moon and creating the seasons. So we're tracking that now, and the data is looking good already. You know, it'd be better if she could explain it. You know, she'll go into detail a bit more. Technology switching on and off at different depths, and they are popping up at key locations on that grid, as you know, as I suspected. And I've said before, they are responsible for volcanoes in certain configurations. They're not all doing the same kind of role. It was the creator, the destroyer, the maintainer. This is a kind of system they are running. You know, there's ones that are obviously breaking things down, and obviously to the frequencies or power they're using to do what they do. They were the ones that were moved to the lower levels of what's below. You know, it all ties in perfectly. It really does. The correlation's blindingly obvious. Everywhere I look now, I see this. You know, I can look at bits of
started off thinking that it was all underground.
You name it. Geoglyphs, hieroglyphs, Nazca lines, everything. It's all pointing to the same thing.
I never started off thinking that it was all underground.
All leads to what we're seeing here. And basically, it's how our world runs. You know, that's what they're all showing how it runs. In any field, but
absolutely nothing like you
thought it was. You know, helping out in different areas. Expert, we've got them to plot on the map and see. And it's not just a case of it goes round. No, it doesn't just go round. It's coming from various locations all the time. You'd have to go by the Enochian calendar to figure out which corners are in use and which aren't at particular times. Then these portals, wherever they are, this is them in them corners, and this is where they're popping up in these corners, like especially the southwest, the ones with the Nazis captured or claimed for themselves in the 1930s, was it? That area there. A lot of launches coming from that area, and they come up that southern line. You you look at the magnetic data that series overlaid on the world map he's using, you can see the moonrise, the sunrise, the sunsets, just looking at that data. And you can also see the correlation of these magnetic lines. One of these dots, or I'll call them angels, one of these angels, say, in North UK, and it terminates at a southern volcano in the South Seas. You know, you can follow it on the map where it's all going, so it's switching on and off. So that's what we're doing at the moment. Tracking, well, One Conscience is doing that. She's tracking the data and such. Oh, you know, this fracking, they're just intercepting the buildup of gases before it gets. Everything's like tying in, you know. And what, you know, she's when she shows you her presentation, you'll see it follows these lines perfectly, and the termination points are always where the angel is. So to me, it's saying, yeah, it's just sent a signal down that line, and that angel has just came online, and you know something's going to happen. No, they're not all the time, obviously. So some in the north, you know, the ones in the north will be on more for the northern summer, and then it'll switch to the southern ones, move the sun and the sun's path up and down across the equator. The equator being the line right across the center there. Your ring of fire, you know, it's only a ring if you put it on a globe. Your ring of fire is your east to west alignment. That grid is live all the time, we're finding. The east to west grid right across the center is live. You look at the mimic map, you'll see that area is always like superheated waters compared to the rest, because that grid's live. So yeah, you know, I haven't figured out the electricals or magnetics, whatever you want, however you want to word it. Said he's going to jump in and have a look at that. He seems to be quite knowledgeable on magnetic data. So yeah, you know, it's a huge picture to look at and take in and work out what's going on. I can see how it works. To words and videos, something else. And I'm just hoping you guys are following it, you know, with these updates that we keep bringing out. I hope you're like following it along and working it out yourself. You know, is this what everything's telling us? Because to us, it's everything's pointing to this. This is how it works. And you know, you look at old civilizations. It tells me already they knew exactly how it works. They have to know how it works because all these mandalas are telling you this is how it works. Pick a mandala, it's going to tell you this story. A lot to take in, guys, isn't it?
Yeah, I couldn't unmute myself quick enough.
I like to ask Santos if it's not bother him to play a little.
Talking, I can't hear anything. I've lost the audio here.
Santos, Judith's asking you if you'll play something on the guitar.
Yeah. Please.
Oh, gee.
But thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I think it's the first time I've been asked to play. Just mucking around.
Hey guys. I'm gonna go ahead and bounce out. getting kind of late for me, and New Year's coming around, so I'm gonna call it a night here. But been great talking. I can't wait to get into it more. Santos, I can't wait to talk more about stuff. And Angel, thank you so much for your guys' insight. And wait for the next time we get together and talk some more.
Yeah, guys, I've got to go too because thanks, Michael. I've got to go, guys. I've got a storm coming right now. So it was coming all day. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you for that.
Ah, yeah. I'll
Thank you for being here, Santos. Thank you for all. Matthew's gone now. Thank you.
Yeah. Take care, guys. See ya.
Bye, Santos. Woo. FPV, you're back. We've kind of been going now for 7 hours. 7 hours, 20 minutes. I really hate to do this chat room because there's still quite a few people there, but do you think we should end this hangout now and just chit chat a little bit on? Yeah, we'll just say goodbye. Flat Fred, we'll say goodbye on the after hangout. FPV's gone off. He's having a problem with sound, but he might be back in a moment. But say, darling.
Yes, I like to say, Karen, I love you very much. Thank you for all your great job that you do. Bring us together, bring all this knowledge together. Thank you, Karen. I hope 2018 is going to be much better than 2017 for all of us. Yeah.
You're right, sweet. But again, you did really helps me, so I have to give the hug back to you. And you know, like I say, if it wasn't for everybody actually coming on the panel, then there wouldn't be any of this. So it's a joint effort, isn't it? Really, for the communication. I mean, it's not me, is it? It's everyone else.
It's a joint effort.
Yeah, you're a sweetie, Judith, and I love you too, Judith. I love you too, Angel and Flat Fred and everybody that's been on today. Yeah, do you think it's time for us to say goodbye now? Because we have, like I say, been going for 7.5 hours. We can only go for another half an hour anyway, and then it stops transmitting.
Yeah,
so
it's 8 hours.
Well, it's good night from us. And thank you to everybody in the chat room and everybody that said, for Santos, for Matthew, for Jay, for Devon, for FPV, for David. Have I missed anybody? Patricia's not here right now. She's gone as well.
Artist.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, artist.
Yeah, don't forget him. And yeah, Polaris 888 just said it's a marathon. It's a marathon open evening. We did talk about quite a lot of stuff, and it was pretty deep stuff, wasn't it? It was an open evening. I didn't realize we were going to get so deep, but our channel, everything leads into something else. But anyway, it's good afternoon.
All the big unified theory, because everything does affect everything else.
Yeah, and as you can see, nothing's simple, is it? It's very complicated, deep, and connects with everything else. Yeah, it's time we say goodnight, because it's actually 6:30 in the morning here in the UK.
Good morning.
Yeah, you're 8 hours behind, Angel. It's decent for you.
It's 10:30 here.
Anyway, thank you very much from all of us. Big flat earth hugs to everybody on the panel, in the chat room, going to watch this hangout. Thank you very much for us. We're going to say good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Everybody. So, yeah, who's never left, say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Flat Fred, are you there? He might have nodded off. It's 6:30 in the morning for him. Anyway, good night from us.